Yo, what's going on? Good morning. Happy Monday. I'll give it a few minutes, let everybody join up. Bro, how do I... Alright, I'm gonna get started. Whoever comes in late, they can rewind the video. Good morning to everybody. Let's see what we're gonna cover first. So first things first, I'm just gonna do a quick little overview of fix this. There we go. Alright, so first things first, I'm gonna cover them from top down, basically in the order I'm interested in them. Let's get rid of whatever, I'll leave them. So first things first, I'm gonna cover gold because this is the trade I'm most interested in. Hold on, let me lower my music. Okay, so here we have the gold setup, which I covered with you guys yesterday on Sunday before the futures even opened. I said potentially which by the way, we opened down here. We came up, filled this top liquidity, and then did this drive. Now this is where we currently are. The thesis I shared was potential sells below this 3,230 level if it happened, which, you know, again, we opened down here, came up and reached that level. So at any point when we were up here, if you were on the Forex, you could have taken this short, which obviously none of you guys trade that I'm aware of. So today, what you want to see on gold, if you're trying to short it, again, you have this potential path here. You have a wide range. Let me clean it up a bit before it gets messy. You have this wide range, right? So from here to here, I don't want a background. From here to here, you have a wide zone, right? So your high of the candle, your low of the candle. This is where we are currently trading in. Within this zone, you want to be careful simply because we can do what we did here within these 3 candles, which is pretty much just chop, right? So if we do chop within this range here and you're trying to tactically short, just be mindful where in the range you're shorting. Just because let's say you're shorting into the bottom range and we do bounce, obviously you can get squeezed. The clean trade was a breach of this level, obviously not there. Going forward this week, I want to see if gold can give up the previous day low, which is going to be your next confirmation sales trigger for this leg here. And for this current leg, you're already at about the midpoint, which is why I'm telling you guys I don't think it's the best short at this point, unless we manage to confirm lower or you're shorting the top range. So look, high to low. Why are all my fibs off? So currently trading right around, oh yeah, this is way too, did I do this right? Yeah, I did. This is coming into the 786. So this is definitely not an area I'd consider shorting gold. You can't even see it, but yeah, so we're right around between the 618, 786. This is a really good area for gold to bounce. I'm not telling you guys to take longs, but just something to keep an eye on and be careful with if you are trying to short, which I'm trying to do. So I'm not forcing the sales, rushing into sales here. I'm gonna be patient. If I can short back again to this top range or maybe even above, great. But here, unless we manage to lose the 786 and maybe deliver this leg here, I don't think I'm gonna be touching gold myself. Overall, yes, like I said, the higher time frames are really clean. We can see much lower, but at the same time, what if they bounce off the 786 and come into 3.3k or something? I'm not saying that's going to happen, just telling you guys, shorting here at the bottom of this range isn't the best idea. If I do see more selling pressure, I'll let you guys know, hey, I'm taking the sales here. But right now, I'm going to be tactical with gold this week. Don't want to repeat last week. But yeah, let's see what happens. This is going to be my top watch this week. And then after that, we're going to have Bitcoin, which I have been covering. Let's zoom out to the daily. You can't see it too well on the daily. I'm about to do it on the 3 hour. But essentially, we have this massive range on Bitcoin. This is a previous month range. This range you see here, that's the entire previous monthly range, right? And then other than that, you have this wick right here. I think this was yeah, this was Wednesday from, what news did we have this day? We had some news, which was when everything wicked up and left the massive wicks. We had that wick on the SPY as well to 587. But assuming we're gonna break out here on Bitcoin, you would see that wick filled, and then from there we would consider maybe shorting back to the lows. So that's maybe something I'm gonna watch this week on Bitcoin. Again, I've been talking about Bitcoin sales looking really clean below the 77k level, which we haven't gotten. So just watch that 77k level for the clean sales below to 70k, maybe even like 57k. But I'm not doing that until we potentially fill this wick here. After that happens on a setup like this, potentially sales might be cool. Even if we don't fill these wicks, that's fine. But I don't really want to be in any sales unless you're tactical. If we're above previous day low. If we start losing previous day low, then sure, it makes the sales easier. But anywhere above previous day low, you got to be careful. They do have buying pressure. Other than that, GJ is trading slightly lower. Let's see, is it trading? No, it's not. It bounced. So we've been trading in this range. These are 3-month lows, by the way. So let me zoom out. Let's go to 3-month. These are, you know, these are 3-month candles. So this is, let's do it on monthly. So these are monthly candles, and as you can see, we've been in this range for several months. I want to see us break down these levels, and if we do, we're probably going to go down into 180, which is this wick here. These ranges don't look, you know, it looks like it's been sitting, but these are really big ranges. This candle, for example, moved about 1,000 pips in a month. That's a lot of money. But yeah, long story short, here above previous day high. If we stay above previous day high, again, no reason to be short. They have bullish pressure, but the minute we do start flipping below the lows, that's when I think we can have some really nice selling pressure to fill these wicks here. So GJ remain tactical. I'm not really doing too much in this zone. I want to see if we manage to break out above the highs or something. I honestly would not short GJ here. If it breaks down, sure, but I'm not touching GJ anymore. I caught, where was it? I think it was this leg down, yeah, and it was okay. Oil is one that looks really interesting this week. So last week also had a potential buy. We have the same setup that we have across the board, which is going to be your breakout above the previous day high. You have your W formation here, right? And if it breaks out, you're going to go here. Another thing to note is that this is an open gap, right? So if we manage to break out above this level, we're already above previous day high. So we're above previous day high already, which does not, yeah, because previous day high was down here, but we're not above Wednesday's highs. So if we manage to break above this level and squeeze above Wednesday's highs, this wick here, which is Monday's highs, is a given, in my opinion. And if we manage to break out above that, is where you'll have your delivery of this zone here. Oil moves really fast. I'm not a fan of trading it. I've gotten paid on it. I've also lost money on it. But me personally on Forex, the way oil trades, I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather trade something else. But oil looks really clean to the upside. And again, these are your potential resistance zones. You have this level to get over, which was your previous close. If we manage to get above that, like I said, this wick is a given. And then if we manage to squeeze above that, we're probably going up to these levels. So for now, the technical plan is tactical sells are okay, but it looks like we might not get them. So I'm not touching these buys, by the way. I'd rather be patient, wait a couple of days, hopefully into the second half of the week. If these do trigger to the upside, we'll deliver those targets, and then I'll consider reshorting if levels allow. But you want to be really careful here chasing the buys. I'm not a big fan of them. One thing I want to cover is UVXY, shared in the chat. So like I said, if SPY breaks out, gives us that upside that we discussed, which would be maybe like 587, right? So this breakout, you would see UVXY come down to those levels we discussed, which are, what is it, like 26 down here maybe? So you would see UVXY maybe come down into like this zone, and you would see SPY go up to these levels, something like that. Again, might not happen, so we want to watch both of these here. You do have a small gap on below on SPY, you do have a small gap above on UVXY. But one thing I don't really like for longs here on UVXY is that we're still really elevated. If you look at UVXY, we haven't really retraced much. This is the optimal area where I'd rather buy it. We're closer to 26, definitely below 30. And if you look at StockS, we already did that. So let's overlay UVXY. UVXY is still really elevated. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. UVXY is still really elevated, so definitely not a good idea in my opinion to buy UVXY up here. But taking starter longs on StockS down here, I don't think is a terrible idea. Sure, we can break down towards his lows, that's fine, just buy a little more. That's why I'm telling you guys I'd rather start positions with shares instead of options. If you buy calls here and we dip a little lower, you're gonna be, you know, you're gonna get hit pretty bad. Versus if you start loading shares here, start loading more shares here, that's fine. But that's what I plan on doing with Success for a potential move back up to the highs. And like I said, UVXY, I want to see if it comes back down towards the levels that Success is currently trading at, which would imply that SPY is going to have a breakout. So again, keep it super tactical on both sides. Doesn't mean we have to break out, but I do think the levels allow it. So let's see what we get. But again, that's one setup I'm watching here, Success versus UVXY. See if any of these start getting weakness or strength, and then I want to see if SPY also gives us some weakness or strength from these levels. As you can see, again, we have pretty big gaps. So maybe we'll get a little bit of a pullback. Let's give it a higher time frame. So this is a zone we're currently trading in. I wouldn't do anything within this zone. If we manage to break out, like I said, we're gonna go for squeeze much higher, which would coincide with the breakdown on UVXY. But you do have this gap here, so maybe be mindful. They might want to come retest these lows or up to any of these levels before potentially giving us that breakout. So those are the ranges I'm watching. Keep it tactical within these ranges. I'll leave these drawings up, fuck it. Keep it tactical within these ranges, but once you do get your breakout of the range, like I said, if it's the squeeze to the upside, should be sizable. And then if they do break below 530, which I don't think they will, you'd have some nice selling pressure. But like I said, I think they'll do this first to the upside before bringing it back down, just because kind of lines up with the levels. One major divergence I want to keep an eye on is Apple. So where are the original drawings? This is the original drawing we had. These were the targets when we mentioned, what was this, the 7th, getting long. So these were the targets, right? 206, we're above those targets. Technically, the targets are delivered on Apple. Can we go higher to these levels? Sure. But we have a massive gap here. Let's close this. We have a massive gap here, which I want you guys to be mindful of. Generally, all gaps do get closed. And like I said, SPY could have a small pullback before heading higher. Apple could also have a pullback before heading higher. So pretty wide range here. Potentially before we head higher, they can come retest these lows and then squeeze up more, assuming they're gonna go higher. There is no indication that we have to squeeze higher. And if Apple does start flipping from these levels, this will pull the SPY down with it. So what would that look like? Maybe Apple pulls back to these levels. Again, you want to see what happens on the SPY. SPY can pull back as well, but you do want to see a bounce anywhere into these zones. If these levels do start getting lost as you have increasing selling pressure on Apple, that's definitely something to be careful with. That's one thing I noted this morning pre-market in the Discord. Apple strength pre-market over this weekend gap up versus SPY. Like I said, SPY did not gap up, and we have massive strength on Apple. We have massive strength on semis. So again, are we gonna short these levels, which were targets, or are they gonna squeeze above these levels? So AVGO, we discussed this over the weekend, right? This was the potential breakout. We bounced, let's bring this down. We bounced from these levels and now we're at the breakout level, right? You see how it says sales below? This is where we triggered these sales from, and we're retesting the level we fell from here. That's all this is, a retest. So do they break out? Ooh, that's ugly. Do they break out above this resistance and go retest the wick high, which is the other resistance? We also have resistance here, this yellow zone, 786. But technically, do they try to push for that next leg higher above this white line, or are they going to try to sell this? And that's why I'm telling you guys, Success right now looks really good, assuming we do this. But you got to be prepared for this here, which is why I'm telling you guys, leave room to add lower. I prefer stock over calls. If you want to take calls, just a few, and that's fine. But definitely leave room to add. That's the setup we have on semis. Semis also did not have the same strength that Apple had. Like I said, Apple had a massive gap up. So the thing here is, does Apple show weakness, or does the rest of the market catch up to Apple? I think it's a lot easier for one individual name like Apple to fall, as opposed to the entire market having to go up. Well, let's see what happens. If you guys have any questions right now, let me know. We have a few minutes before the open. But those are the few things I'm watching. So Apple, want to see weakness versus the rest of the market showing more strength, especially semis for a breakout. And I'm watching gold and Bitcoin for potential breakdown. So you have very clear levels, a lot of divergences across the market, which is good in my opinion, because you have a lot of setups you can potentially take with good RR. Where's the chat? OPEX this week. I mean, you have OPEX every week, but yeah. What is this? The end of month is what I'm more concerned with. And then you guys know we don't trade Friday, right? Where is it? Why did this freeze? Give me 1 second. Oh no, I was not trying to do that. Alright, so one thing I want you guys to keep in mind, especially on names like SPX that had a massive retracement. So I've talked to you guys and shown you how liquidity works, right? Do I have trends on? No, I don't. Okay, so you have your monthly breakdown level, right, which is here. This is where we broke out from on this side, delivered this leg, and this is where we currently broke down from, right? So I had this leg, had the leg up, leg down. This is where we currently are. Came all the way down here, right? It's not perfect, but that's fine. The first line was way better. All right, so this is where we currently came down to. This is where we broke down from, and this is where we currently are. So upside range, technically you have maybe up to the previous monthly high, and then you have breakout above, breakdown below, and the current monthly low, right? You go down to a weekly. On the weekly, you have a small gap right here. Not massive, but it's notable. Right, so we have this. As long as we're above this, which we can come down and test, I would assume we're gonna push higher, just based off the weekly levels. The only problem is that we did leave massive liquidity on the monthly. So like I said, on the weekly, it looks okay. Let's check out the daily. Again, you have this small level here to watch. If at any point we do manage to flip below this, I'd be very careful, because it'll probably come test previous day low. And if you see that, once that level is lost, it takes you right back down to the previous weekly lows. So there's a huge gap here. Into 51.75-ish, you have okay support. Don't really want to see us get back under 53.70. It's possible, but don't want to see that. And again, if we do pull back into these levels, you have some layers of support, but anywhere below previous day low, I do think you open a massive selling pressure down to the previous weekly lows. And again, like I said, this is going to depend on Apple here. Apple is closing gaps to the upside. So we had this gap. we're opening up here, so that closes and takes care of that gap. So based off the daily, Apple can theoretically sell, and we have gaps below. So those are the two things I'm watching at open. But let's see, the ranges are massive, so be super careful. I get it, you're like, whoa, these ranges are massive, I need all that money. Sure, but you also keep in mind the ranges are massive, you can lose a lot of money. So stay super tactical. I'm gonna be patient this week, see how stuff plays out, but we do have a lot of great setups, so just be patient. You'll for sure catch something this week. So divergence means that prices should move, like right now, this price is diverging. GJ and USD CAD should not be moving in sync. Last week I mentioned shorting GJ and going long UCAD based off of that, and it paid. So right here I'm telling you guys again, we're having divergences across the board on everything. GJ and USD CAD are diverging because these are inverse pairs. They should not be moving together. But the major divergence was the one on Apple. Apple gapped up, SPY did not. Divergence in gold, divergence in Bitcoin. There's a shitload of divergences right now. Like, it's not normal. The longer a divergence remains, it's like how can I explain it? It's like a rubber band effect. You know, technically everything should move within. Think of it like an intricate clock. You know, multiple pieces, multiple components, different things that ticking at different speeds, but generally the entire clock should be moving together. Some components can, you know, be stuck for a minute. They can be trading against each other when they shouldn't be, and generally the longer divergence takes place, the bigger the counter reaction is going to be. And these divergences have been taking place for about a month, but the last 2 weeks they've gotten a lot worse. So I think when we get the next leg, well, I don't think, I'm pretty positive, the next leg we get is going to be a lot more violent than the first one we had. So whoever traded, what day was it? Thursday? This was the first day we almost had a limit halt. We fell almost 7%, but we didn't quite have that limit halt, right? I think we're gonna have for sure see some limit halts on the next leg lower, yeah, like this move, respectfully, yes, I get it, it sucks, a lot of people lost money, but we didn't see any like 10% down days or something like that on SPY. So if you go back to 2020, which is where I copied those moves from, literally just copy pasted. So I came to this, I drew the levels out, and that's literally what I copy pasted for 2025. That's how I got the drop. But if you check this, we had it doesn't look too bad here, but we were falling about, you know, 10% days at a time, sometimes overnight. We didn't quite see that, and then the SPY fell, what was it, over 30%, 30 something. So let me show you guys that divergence as well. So 35%, you guys see that, right? We fell 35%. Let's come to this drop we had on SPY. We fell about 20%. Apple is the biggest component in SPY, so they shouldn't move dollar per dollar, but they should move fairly similar. From high to low, Apple fell about 34%. So that's 14% more than SPY. SPY did not deliver that. If we do get that extra 14%, which would be around the 35% we did in 2020, which makes sense, that would line up right with the 786, right about 405. So in my opinion, are we done falling? Not really. That massive divergence on Apple is something to take advantage of, because we're trading some closer to maybe here. Let's overlay it. Doesn't look too good here, I guess. Oh, I'm on a daily, that's why I gotta go to like a 3 hour. So you can't really see it here. It's not lining up the way I want it to. Let's see if I do %. Yeah, it doesn't line up the way I'd want it to, honestly. But Apple's trading a lot higher than SPY, so this doesn't look great. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna get it to line up. It's fine. But yeah, Apple is leading here by a margin, which is why I'm telling you guys, potential trade here is gonna be shorting Apple at these highs, or SPY catching up to the upside. But I don't think going long here is a good idea. Like I said, I am pretty sure SPY is gonna eventually come retest. Whoops, didn't mean to move it. SPY is gonna come retest that 786, which would be that 35% correction from the highs that Apple and many names already did. Eventually, in the long run, I think individual stocks are gonna end up falling a lot more, but I do think that 35% target is a good next sales target for SPY. Why is this not loading, bro? And gold is into that 786 here. So like I said, anyone planning to trade gold, watch this 786. So are we bouncing off this little box, this white line? Should I make it thicker so it's more visible? This is your 786. That's your 786. As long as we're below that level, I really like the sales on gold. If we go above, maybe not the best idea, but if we do start slipping below, we should see some nice selling pressure to this area. And again, this is your next test. If we lose this, that's where you'll see a really nice payout on gold sales. But like I said, keep it tactical, market dependent. A lot of moving parts today. Want to see what GJ is doing, what SPY is doing, Apple, Bitcoin, dollar so far, really good progress off these lows. So I really like this move on the dollar, but I want to see GJ flip here. So nice little red candles here on GJ. If GJ manages to start putting in some lows from here and dollar remains pushing higher, that's going to be a really good development for the bears. But if dollar starts slipping below this level and GJ keeps running, definitely not a good idea to be short. But like I said, we have multiple pairs to look for confirmation: GJ, SPY, Apple, Bitcoin, gold, dollar, where we're not really going to go into trade blindly. If majority of the pairs here, or all, are not confirming the trade, I don't think there's going to be a reason to take any trades. Like I said, divergences have been ongoing for quite some time. I rather let them take care of themselves and give me confirmations before I rush trades. But like I said, GJ, dollar, Bitcoin, gold, a lot of stuff to look at. If you guys need specific levels on anything, let me know. But I'm more concerned with the price action here. And I'll go more in depth on divergence later on. I'll do like specifics, setups where I've executed on them and stuff. Just right now, I just want to do a quick little overview. Can't really do like a whole lesson, but hopefully that kind of makes sense. It's like you know, specific sectors trading against the market when everything's going in one way, that could be seen as a divergence. It doesn't really make sense. Everything kind of trades in a vacuum. So when just a few names are trading, you know, differently, you gotta kind of go look at them and be like, hey, what's going on? What are you guys doing? It's just looking for clues in different markets. All right, we got 5 minutes to open. Good luck, everyone. Like I said, take it slow. It's a short week. No need to force anything. Maybe we don't get our setups until after this week, so take it slow. I do like the levels, but if there's no trigger, no trade. Ooh, Berkshire. Oh, danger. This might be a solid reshort. Let me put an alert on this. So this week, what you want to take advantage of, if possible, is low IV names. I get it. A lot of stuff might still be expensive because the UVXY didn't come down as much, but a lot of the IVs should definitely have come down across the board. These are massive weekly levels. Yeah, bro. If they go fill those, let's show you. Whoops, not height indicators, hydrons. Look at that monthly range. Sure, they can go for the breakout, but in my opinion, I just think that's massive liquidity to the downside. They're gonna probably end up sweeping before the month close. Like I said, doesn't have to happen this week. We have 2 weeks left in the trading month, which is this week, the following week. If they do not sell this week, which I said they do not have to, whoops, they still have all of next week to do a potential pullback. And if they did that entire drop in a week, just about, because we opened on a gap down on Monday, and they moved all that to the upside in a week, who says we can't give it up in a week as well? I bet they can, and maybe even more. So like I said, the next 2 weeks, keep it tactical. This week, I'd say you have to stay more on edge, because we have no confirmations yet. Maybe they won't come until the following week, but we do have some really solid setups across the board. I'm gonna step away for literally like 10 seconds. Look at that candle on you, AVGO. Sheesh. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. If anyone is gonna short, like I said, keep it tactical, be careful. But definitely grab a little bit of time, at least bi-weekly, not weekly. Just in case, like I said, we don't get the breakdowns this week, you'll be able to, still be in the move next week. Let's see what we get. Any call outs I'll do verbally off the bat here in chat per usual, and then once I have a minute I'll go into the Discord to update and send stuff out. But right off the get-go, I'm just gonna do verbal. Let's see how we opening up. Oh, look at that pullback on Berkshire already. Pullback on UNH, pullback Microsoft. Apple still at the highs. Let's pull this over here. Watching gold for potential breakdown. Let's put an alert here on that. GJ coming down a little bit. USD CAD also down. I'd be okay with the potential. Fuck. It's just early in the week, right? I don't want to get y'all into shit. So nice little pullback here on UNH. Apple hasn't moved yet. Berkshire hasn't moved. I'm gonna check out the contracts on Apple. Holy shit, my ever cousin, look at the move on Berkshire off of those levels. Super clean. Let's see what these are trading for. So Apple's really expensive, probably not touching it. They're charging you way too much for those. I'm watching gold here. It's about to trigger maybe below the 786. I might take that instead of Apple, just because Apple's a little expensive, not gonna lie, guys. So that I don't know if anyone was on stream yesterday, but if anyone learned something, hopefully just by looking at the prices on Apple, you can tell that those premiums are super inflated and not worth it. Anytime you're paying, so general rule of thumb for me is you want to pay. So let's say Apple's at 210 right now. The most you want to pay for an At the Money is 210 bucks. Right now they're charging you 480 bucks or 490 for an At the Money. So they're charging you 2 times up front, which if they know it's gonna drop. Ooh, look at these candles. Is anyone watching Bitcoin? I might nibble a little more on gold here. I'm chilling, not trying to do nothing crazy, but we are triggering below that 3196 here. Massive red candles across the board. Let's see what develops the next few minutes. But definitely good thing we knew not to go long at the open. Hopefully nobody went long at the open. No triggers yet, by the way. So sure, we're having some selling pressure, but everything's still above levels, so nothing major. And then if you guys see stocks as here, we are seeing some nice green candles to the upside if anyone actually took that. Watching gold here for the break below 3196, nothing yet. Want to see what develops. Nice selling pressure here. GJ might trigger here. Let's see if it comes below levels. And then dollar, I want to see push up. What I mentioned earlier about them moving together, they're moving together again. GJ pulled back, but dollar's also pulling back, so definitely not something you want to see here. Hopefully GJ breaks down and we get the breakout on dollar, but you are having some bounces across over this side on the market. So tested the 1618, bouncing, and if we get above the 786, they're probably going to try to push it above 535 on Berkshire. Just keep watching here, be tactical. Gold trying to bounce off that 3196. Let's see if we can get some closures below that. So this is what I'm talking about, 3196 here. Want to see if we could lose this level. If we don't, no sells on gold. If we get closures below here, those sells can pay next few minutes. So flipping the 3-minute timer here, let's see if in the next 3 minutes I could get a new low on gold. If not, that trade is going to be technically I'm gonna take off what I put on, which is small size, but still. Success money, you took it, cool. And I know you took calls, bro. I literally said I'd rather y'all take stock, but I already know your ass took calls. All good. Just be careful with that, bro. Super volatile. It's an inverse, and obviously it's leveraged, so just be careful. UVXI I think is 1.5. Success is 3x. So yeah. Gold still above levels, not much to do or not much to yeah, I'm not doing much. Ooh, looks like gold might try to slip here. No confirmation yet, but if it does, this might be a nice trade here. GJ coming down, like I said. US dollar trying to get back above that level. Really nice sell on Bitcoin, nice sell on SPY, and gold slipping below these levels. So far so good. If we manage to get the break below these levels, we're probably gonna come straight down into 3185 where we have our next test. But for now, still holding that 3196. So let's see what develops. And AVGO really nice sells. That was one of the trade ideas in the pre-market notes. AVGO sells, success calls. What else did I have in there? UNH sales. UNH and Netflix have earnings this week, by the way. So if anyone does take them, just know you're gonna have, excuse me, really inflated IV. Massive bounce on StockS here. Massive bounce on maybe not massive. I'm exaggerating, but we did bounce where we had to on GJ right off this level, and USD CAD getting rejected off of the level we discussed pre-market. So we need $1 above, and this coming down. We're having the opposite happen here, unless there's a change of composure in the next minute and a half. I'm probably just gonna take these off. And if you can see, gold is trying to hold these lows. So again, I want to see gold break below this, dollar up, GJ down. TLT, what are you in? If you're still in the same one I'm holding, you're down a fuckload. TLT is still an okay trade, maybe. My only issue with TLT is theoretically, assuming the markets crash here, TLT should rally. Theoretically, again, theoretically. So, assuming that does happen, sure, TLT is good for a re-add if you really like to. But it's a tricky situation because we still don't even have confirmation the market's about to come down here, you know? So if the market does come down, sure, those can be a really nice trade. But what if we don't break down from here and we do rally for another couple of days, 2 days, 3 days, a week? At that point, the TLT would be red. So just keep that in mind. If we do get the breakout scenario we discussed this morning, maybe not, but it looks like we're probably going to trigger from here potentially to the downside, which we haven't done. But if that does happen within the next, I don't know, 15-30 minutes, and you want to try reloading TLT, that's not bad. Let's see what TLT is doing. Oh yeah, see, so if you reloaded last week, you should be okay. We did dip a little lower on Friday. Actually, no, this is where we added on Friday. So not sure if you added Friday or not, but if you added, you should be doing okay. I don't think I'd get out just yet. The original trade, that one's down, but if you took Friday's reload, you might be okay. Look at the rejection on StockS, and we're having massive bounce on gold at that 31.96. So at this point, small drawdown on that trade for me, down about 12% on the aggressive risk, and then the other one's down about 6. So at this point, I might just take these off for the small L here. And that was a gold trade. It was a fast scalp, but like I said, we never got the breakdown here on the 3 minutes, so I'm gonna just take it off before it might potentially become a bigger loss. Still viable to hold or enter here, I guess, if you're not in it. Just me personally, I don't want to force anything right now. I'd rather get out, try to get back in higher if the levels allow. The 90 TLT call, you grabbed May, or I'm assuming you did, right? That's what I issued, the May 17. Because I issued it twice. I issued it once and it paid, and then if you didn't manage, it ended up going red because we gapped down overnight, and then I issued it again on Friday. So I don't know which specific set you took. If you took the Maze on Friday, you're probably doing okay. Yeah, big bounce here on gold. Liquidity probably higher on SPY, so let's watch Apple here. Apple coming into that gap close we discussed, right? This is the moment of truth. Apple has to close this gap and hold and bounce, right? So wherever in this gap, hold and bounce. If we give up these lows, Houston, we have a problem. Shit is going down. Like, these levels are nasty, bro. I'm telling you, hopefully they hold these levels and bounce. But if they fail to do so, we can see some massive selling across the board. Right now, nothing too serious yet. GJ is starting to slip here. So great, GJ down. USD CAD trying to form a base, push higher. Gold is not really cooperating, so I do want to see a flip here on gold soon. And then SPY is trying to hold these lows and bounce. But the main key indicator is going to be Apple. What does Apple do into this gap? So let's see. So far, AVGL still slipping. So if you took those right off open, you're already a couple bucks green on that. I slept on those. I'm pretty sure they're expensive as F though. So Berkshire still not a terrible trade here. Let's check premiums on that. Yeah, Berkshire's not terrible. It is a little pricey just because contracts only have 3 days for this week, but it's not terrible. If you go out to next week, the contracts double, which makes it not really worth it in my opinion. If anyone wanted to scalp the weeklies, it's not a terrible idea. Just what I really don't like is we only have 3 days on these contracts. But into the 786, assuming, see, it's tricky here because we have two scenarios here. One is a breakout brewing on Berkshire potentially, and the other one is a potential bounce on Apple. If Apple does bounce, you're getting the breakout on Berkshire. However, if Apple does not bounce and does start a breakdown, this is going to be a solid short zone for Berkshire. So with that being said, if anyone wants to try the short on Berkshire, it is a little aggressive here, but if you want to be tactical for a scalp, I'm not opposed to it. The 530s are trading around 530, which, like I said before, anytime you're taking a trade, you want to pay maximum around what your strike is at the money. So the 530s, you're paying around 530, 550. That seems fair to me. Apple earlier, they were charging you 2 times what the contracts were worth, which you see the move we literally just had, down $6 on Apple. Now that makes sense. They were charging you that premium we were about to drop up front. Berkshire is not doing that. Berkshire's not charging you any premium up front. So if we do drop, all that premium is going to your pocket. So watch this level here on Berkshire. If anyone likes to trade, the 530s, or like I said, are trading around 530. That seems very fair to me for a potential trade. So that's a trade here. If anyone wants to consider taking that, let's see what we get. See, that's not bad. You guys took 5.2. That's fine. Don't do anything. I would not add at this level if you're only down 12%. Let's see what we get here on Berkshire. The 530s are now trading around 5. You can probably get filled like at 520, 515, 510 maybe. So not too bad. But like I said, I want to see more selling pressure on Apple for that Berkshire breakdown to happen. Go down to 1 minute. Alright, I'm gonna try to get filled here on Berkshire. This is gonna be a scalp. If it doesn't go green within 3 minutes, I'll probably end up taking it off. Let's see if I get filled. You could get filled for 5 or less right now. Let's see. Alright, they filled me. What did they fill me at? 480. Fuck it, I'll take it. I just the 530s you can pay 480 for right now, which I get it. A lot of people don't even have 480. You're trading with small accounts. I feel it. It's pretty pricey, but I'm telling you, in terms of what you're paying for a contract, the premium, the value, risk to reward, I think that's a really good deal. Netflix is already paying quite a bit off those highs. Contracts, I'm sure, were super expensive, especially because IV's inflated because of VR. But that Berkshire here, oof, nice little candle. So already gonna be going green on that. If anyone got in on Berkshire here, again, this is a really clean setup. The premium that you were paying up front made sense. So anytime you can get in for what your strike is at the money or below, especially with time, that's great. If it's a, a 0 DTE, then that doesn't make sense because contracts don't have time. But on a scenario like here, I think it made sense to take Berkshire, and that's what I mentioned this morning. You got to know what you're buying and what you're paying for, because right off the bat this morning, can we have made money on Apple? Sure, but you were paying 2 times the premium right up front on Apple of what it's worth. So like I said, Apple was trading above 210. You were paying about $500 up front per contract at the money. This one you grabbed right now for about $500, but again, this is a $534 stock versus a $210 stock. So big difference in price premium on those 2 trades. And again, you got to be able to understand what you're buying to know what you're paying for. If you don't know how options work, you don't really understand premiums and prices. But that was definitely too expensive on Apple this morning. What's ticker? Ticker is just like the stock name. So ticker could be like SPY, Apple, Tesla. Berg flipped my indicator towards 538. Not sure what indicator you're looking at or what. We do have a small gap at 532.61, but just off that little pullback we had, those contracts are already slightly green. Oh, BRK.B. I'm not sure what broker you're on. I think you're Robinhood. So I'm not sure if it's .B/B or just BRKB. I'm not sure how they put it in there, but yeah, it's BRKB. And again, we have a super small gap here. So want to see him close this gap. Let's move this down, close this gap, and then continue lower maybe. If at any point they get back above the 618.786, I'd be careful on that trade. Let's see what it's at. They're already up over 20%. No, I'm lying, 17. They just went down a little bit. And again, I'm watching Apple here for clues. Does Apple slice below these levels, or are we going to manage to hold? We have yet to close the gap, by the way. This is the top range of the gap. Theoretically, you want to see the bottom range of the gap closed. So I don't think we're done falling, at least for now. And then if anyone is not in gold, this is a solid entry for gold too. If you want to take a more aggressive trade like on a 0 DTE, that's not bad. For a scalp, if you want to grab swings, that's cool too. But I might try a 0 DTE trade here on gold. So if you got in on that, which was pretty fast, probably didn't have time to get filled. I added a little on that gold 0 DTs. Nice little drop here, so those are paying a little bit. But again, I doubt anyone was able to get in on that. I don't know if anyone's gotten in on Berkshire. I know, bro, I need to know y'all names. I know just a normal guy is asking about it, so I don't know if he got in, but yeah, so Berkshire on watch here. It's nibbled, small size on gold as well, but I want to see what happens here the next 3 minutes on everything across the board. Know about the strike and premium price relationship? Yes, because think about it, you can theoretically only make dollar per dollar if you're in the money, right? So if it goes $5 in the money, 500, it goes down $1, 100, so you get that aspect, right? But when you're buying a contract, if you need to go $5 down to be in the money and you're already paying those $5 up front, where's the profit? They're literally charging you what you're gonna drop up front. So I'm not saying you can't make money, sure you can, but you're paying the premium up front. So generally, rule of thumb, I want to get the premium I'm paying on my contract has to be the strike I'm grabbing. So for Apple, for example, this morning I was looking at 210 puts trading for around 480, 500 bucks, which is 2 times. Doesn't make sense. In this specific Berkshire scenario, I said, hey, the 530s are trading around 530. They ended up dropping under 530 to we're at 480. So that's a pretty good bargain in my book. Versus if Berkshire would have been 2 times as expensive like Apple was this morning, those 530s should have been trading at $1,000. So yeah, definitely make sure to know what you're paying. Take Berkshire. Yeah, Berkshire is a little expensive. The gold one isn't too expensive, and it's probably up here or about break even. So gold, if you want to scalp the 0D to E or take the swing or whatever, this is a viable entry. On the 3 minute, you want to see a breakdown below the 618, which is 295.62. Currently below that. So stay below these levels here, and you should see a move lower. And then if we get, so let's full screen this. You have target 1 here. You have target 2 here, target 3, and then target 4. And if we manage to break this bottom range of the box, we're gonna get the massive breakdown we discussed on gold. For now, I'm just targeting this as a scalp. If we manage to lose the low range, that's a different scenario. But for now, I just want to see if we can get back to the bottom range of this. So that's the scalp here on gold if you want to take it. And Berkshire now at the highs. So if Apple bounces off these levels, which it looks like it might, and Berkshire is probably going to go for that breakout we discussed. I'm not out of my shorts just yet. I'm going to give them maybe another 2-3 minutes, but you definitely want to be careful with that. Don't sit on any of these, by the way. I'm telling you guys, if you start going red, you're better off just cutting the small loss, especially because it's a short week. The theta decay is going to hit a lot harder. Gold, small breakdown here, so let's see if it manages to trigger. Anyone get filled on any of them? Berkshire, gold, anything? Or y'all just watching for today? Nice little red here on GJ. Let's see if we can trigger. Good time to fuck no. I don't know where you was at this morning, Adam, but I don't know if you're asking to the upside. I'm definitely not chasing the longs. If you want to take it, sure, it's not terrible. You want to see above 180.5 for more upside. But the trade for AVGO was sales this morning, right off the open. If you missed it, it is what it is. Technically, if Apple bounces off these levels, I wouldn't be surprised if AVGO is trading back at 186 plus, maybe this week. But again, I don't think that's long. I'm gonna take myself. So if the 2 scenarios I'm looking for is a breakdown on Berkshire, breakdown on gold. If those don't pay, I'm exiting my sells and calling it. I'm not adding more trades. If you're bullish yourself, that's fine. I respect everybody's opinion. I'm not gonna tell you, hey, you're stupid, the market's not gonna go up. That's fine. If you want to take it long, take it long. You know, we could go up, we could go down. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. So if you want to take the long, I'm assuming again that's what you're asking for. That's possible. But if you're asking me to short here at the lows, then definitely not a viable trade. Can it happen? Sure, I just wouldn't advise it. Why would you want to short AVGO, which is at low of day, when you can short something like Berkshire, which is still at highs? If it's a matter of price issues, I don't think so, because AVGO is expensive as shit. You can take something else like gold. You can take other names. So let me know what you're trying to do with AVGO. If you're trying to get long, like I said, that 186 scenario is possible, and I wouldn't say that it's a terrible trade. If it breaks out, sure, that's okay. But just be mindful, if you're trying to short, definitely not something to start shorts at the lows. And then Apple trying to base here. Remember I told you guys you paid 2 times the premium up front. So let me go back and check those contracts, see if you would have been up here. See, so you'd be up, but not much. You'd be up maybe like 150, 200 bucks max. on this sizable drop on Apple, just because of the fact that you paid all that premium up front. That's how market makers work. They know where prices are going, and they're not going to sell you something for the low where they know they're going to lose money, especially if a lot of people are trying to get in. If a lot of people want to buy something, they're going to sell it to you for the high. Nobody wants something, they're going to lower the prices and buy it themselves. This is how they work. So let's see Berkshire here. We need a break below 532.70 for more selling pressure. And then Apple, we want to see a break below this range. And then similar setup on EVGO. Let's see if we manage to break below this range. But again, in my opinion, I'm not taking the sells at these lows. If you want to try this calls for a quick scalp, that's okay. Just keep it tactical. Don't sit on the calls if we break below the lows. And if you are short, don't stay short if we break above the highs. Yeah, if you're looking at the longs, I'm not mad at it. I'm telling you, the levels look cool. If we do get that breakout to the upside we discussed, you're gonna get paid for sure. And it looks alright. Just watch what you're paying on the premium, and be careful if you do break down below. But not a bad idea. I'm alright with it. Here's some Berkshire, cool. So let's see if we get the breakdown. If we don't get the breakdown here, might be a potential area to just call it on that trade. And then gold is kind of doing what we wanted, just sitting around this range, chopping a little bit. Let's see if we do manage to get target 1 and maybe even a little more. Anyone take gold, or y'all just take Berkshire? Bro, I'm coming for gold back in blood, bro. I need every penny that bitch took from me last week. I need 10 times, bro. For every penny. I need 10 pennies for every dollar. Let's see what's up. I'm gonna be patient with gold, but for sure, once we start getting triggers, I'm gonna try to pyramid some trades. My bad, I was sending the text. Let's see. I'm not gonna make any decisions until Apple and EVGO get out of their ranges. Within this range, keep it tactical. Like I said, if you're short, exit above, below, take them off. Gold, I'm still watching. Everything's still ranging a little bit here. I'm not doing too much. Breakdown, moment of truth. Let's see. So again, Adam, I don't know if you took AVGO or not. If you did, be mindful if they break below the lows. You want to be careful with that. If you still get the breakout here, great. Like I said, don't do anything within the range. Technically, you shouldn't. You should wait for the breakout to get long, wait for the breakdown to get short. Not much to do here, but if you already are long, you want to see the breakout, and that'll obviously pay. If we lose the lows, then consider taking them off. Didn't get in. All right, all good. If we do break above 180.50 maybe, that can trigger a nice little break up to 186 again if they want it. And then again, if we do start getting the breakout from these ranges, you're going to want to exit everything anything I mentioned, whether it's gold, Berkshire, Apple, SPY, you name it. Any shorts you're in, if we get the breakout from these ranges, you want to take it off. If we get the breakdown, then that's a different scenario and you can hold on to your shorts for a bit longer. This is the upper extreme range I want to see on gold. If we do start getting above 295.55, 295.60, I'm gonna just go ahead and take that off. I don't want to carry the risk, to be honest with you guys, especially on those 0 DTEs. You have more time, different scenario, different comments, but me, the 0 DTs I did load when I mentioned it. I do not want to hold above these highs, so I'll just take it off. It is what it is. And then watch AVGO here, it's threatening to break out. I feel the wind, the money bag. Bro, I don't know. Y'all probably crying about $100 loss on gold, $500 loss. If y'all knew, it was my fault. Not gonna lie, that's what I get for adding to the shorter dated. It's all good, but yeah, I took a hit on gold last week. I'm not tripping though. Bounce back, get it back. I ain't mad. But yeah, it showed sizable. All right, so Berkshire breaking out here. Apple still not at the highs, but AVGO is threatening. So be mindful, and we're about to get TP1 here on gold. So interesting. Gold delivering downside targets while these names are trying to push. Let's see if these come down. I still have hope in these names giving us a breakdown, especially Berkshire. Let me see what I'm at. TP on gold, good suit. Anyone check the 0 DTE? 40% here on 50% on GLD if you took it. And then Berkshire, I don't think I want to add. Yeah, Berkshire's not down enough to add. I'm gonna just sit on my trade, but Berkshire still looks clean at these levels. If you didn't get in, I'm not opposed to it. AVGO broke out, I just noticed. So refrain from maybe just skip the Berkshire sells. The levels look fine coming into GP here, but maybe not the best trade. Premiums are starting to come down a bit where it actually makes sense to add, at least for me. Let's see, can I roll gold? Let me check my other indicators. All right, maybe not the best idea. All right, fuck it. It's not terrible. I'm gonna do it just cause honestly I wasn't looking at the Berkshire. I did go down a little bit on that first set, which I'm sure you guys probably are too, depending what you paid. I'm gonna add here just to lower my cost base average. Generally, I don't ever add to a trade unless it makes sense premium wise. If you're down, okay, so first, before I even say this, two things. One, you never enter full size on a trade. What does that mean? If I know I want to take a trade at whatever risk, again, it's portfolio dependent. Let's say I know I can risk $100 maximum, then you don't want to risk all 100 at once. And I get it, that sounds stupid. You can't even buy contracts for $100. But let's say it's $1,000. You're not going to risk your full 1,000 at once. You'll break it up into chunks. You'll say, hey, you know what? I'll risk 300 for my first entry, another 300 for my second, and then another 300 for the third. That way you kind of try to get better fills on the entries. You're not always going to get better fills. If you can't get better fills, you don't force a trade, and you also don't force a trade if the levels are invalid. But assuming levels are still valid, you're just getting better entries. Same thing with exits. When you're exiting, I don't exit all at once. I try to scale out, and you generally get better exits, better entries, better exits. Nobody's perfect, so why would you assume you're going to have perfect entries and perfect exits every time? You're not. And if you know that in retrospect, why not break up your entries into different parts? So if you know maximum you want to risk X amount, again, break it up into parts, enter at different parts. Let's say your maximum risk was 500 and you entered that one contract for 500. You do not have room to add. sure, you might have the capital, but if it's not within your risk, your risk requirements, then you're going to be over risking, and it's not a safe thing to do. But if you know, hey, I can risk 1,000 on this trade, again, you're not going to buy both contracts at once for 500. You would have bought one, waited. If you get a better entry on the second contract, which we just did, great. You try to get fills. And if that doesn't happen, then you just sit on that one entry you did have and write it to take profit. Like I said, you don't always get the chance to add on size. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And sometimes you don't get to get better exits. Sometimes your first exit was the best exit. So just be mindful. But generally, like I said, break up your entries and your exits. You'll do better. So I did add a little here on Berkshire just because it was at a pretty good discount. Whenever you're adding, you don't want to say, oh shit, it went down 5%, let me add. Like, no, bro, that's not the point of an ad. You're going to add when it's down, a reasonable amount that it makes sense. I do at least 33% off, if not 50, before adding my second set. Gold 60% here on the 0DTE. If anyone took it, I might scalp some here into the 786 just because there's an area we can potentially bounce from, and I'm not really liking what I'm seeing here. If AVGO retests the area we broke out from and makes one new high, they're going for that breakout, and Apple's also pushing towards the highs. So for now, I'm watching the 786 here. If we get back above this, I'm gonna probably just take this off. Like I said, they were up around 60%. Let's check now. Yeah, see, premiums just dropped quite a bit. So back above here, I'm gonna just take that off. And then Berkshire, we want to see back below EQ, stay below. So if Berkshire gets under EQ and stays under, this one can pay us out a bit here. So the Riyadh's doing okay, lowered my average cost. What are we at? Yeah, lowered my average cost. If not, you'd still be red. Let me check the chat. Gold, me too. Bonds are slightly in the green. Yeah, TLT's up a little bit, but like I said, I don't really trust bonds currently in this market environment. Theoretically, should they rally on a breakdown? Yes. Will it happen? Don't know. Alright, so moment of truth on gold. I just flipped my 3-minute timer. I did get a little smaller just because I liked the win. I wanted to book something. If we get a new leg lower, great. I'll sit on my few remaining positions. But if we do start pushing back above this, I'm going to just call it. Rather take the small win than potentially letting it go red. And again, that's for the 0DTE. Let's watch Apple here. AVGO back in its range, so this might have been a little fake out, and Apple about to break down. I told you guys, Apple has not filled its gap. I don't think this move to the south side is done yet until we at least test the lows. So let's see if they manage to do it here. So at least I want to see this tested before a potential bounce. Can I be wrong? Sure, but that's what I'm aiming for at the moment. And we discussed this pre-market. Massive gap on Apple, potential pullback. Berkshire, let's see if we get below EQ here and we can get paid out. Nice move on Apple. And then AVGO testing the highs here again. So again, keep it super tactical. Gold hugging that level at 295. Want to see if we can get back under. All right, gold now pushing back above that 295. So this is your time to exit if you were still sitting on any partials before they potentially go red. Technically, the exit isn't until above 295, 52 or 53. but by that point you might have given up all your gains. So not the best idea to do that if you are in it. To each his own. If you're in longer dated, different conversation. This is just for managing those fast active 0DT trades. Technically there's like 15 seconds left on the clock, so I guess if you want to wait another 15 seconds you could, but definitely something you want to keep an eye on here on gold. And then Apple still below, and AVGO back under the top range, so not too much of a confirmation yet. So gold's still green, but like I said, definitely might want to take it off here. And then Berkshire below EQ. So if Berkshire stays below EQ, that's great progress. But if we could start getting back above 535, that's not going to be a great sign. So anyone in Berkshire, you want to see us stay under 535. UNH would have been nice. Oh no, actually no. It's sold from Friday's highs. We're not down too much from the open. Netflix I really like. I just know it's going to be super expensive because of earnings. Let's see what they're charging. Yikes. Yeah, maybe not. Definitely not. Way too expensive on Netflix. If we get a, oh, actually, never mind. I was gonna say try to trade it after the earnings, but I forgot we're not even gonna open Friday, so I'd have to wait till next week to trade that. Berkshire moving back above EQ. I'm gonna give it till the 3-minute candle closure in about a minute and a half. But if we do start getting closures above there, I'm just gonna go ahead and take that trade off before I potentially lose more. The second ad is probably flat or maybe slightly green. The first set is red. So I'd much rather take it off here before we squeeze higher, making it a bigger loss. And then if we do break down from this EQ, I'll sit on that trade. But I'm not too much of a fan of the price action here, especially AVGO. AVGO is starting to break out again while Apple is trying to base. Is anyone in anything? Berkshire, gold, anything else? Y'all chilling? Berkshire's red. Like I said, if you didn't add you in the first set, you probably still red. You can sit on it right now because it looks like we're going to be under EQ. Hopefully we stay under. But the gold, if anyone did take that and we don't flip, or you should have managed, but technically if you're still in, I guess you can sit on it a bit longer trying to see if we flip here. Let me know what you guys are in, if you guys need help managing anything or just any ideas in general. I myself do not think any longs will be safe or should be viable until we fill this gap that we discussed on Apple. So just to show you guys on a higher time frame what this looks like, this is the open gap we discussed, right? Pre-market, we said, hey, high probability we're going to pull back and close this gap before heading higher, if we're even going to get head higher. So first step is come close this gap and then see if they hold and bounce or break down from there. That's the current setup on Apple, and this is where we currently are in the range. So we're still sitting around the top end of the range, around the top end of the range, and I want to see if we can come down all the way down into these lows we discussed, right? So that's the current thesis on Apple. Does it play out? Maybe not, but that's what we're watching for. And Berkshire, nice little move down below EQ here. Let's see, I see green now. Alright, so I'm back green on that. I don't know about y'all. Like I said, I added. They're still below original entry. So if you got in on my original call out, you're still down. The only reason I'm green here, slightly, is because of the ad at the lower prices when they went sub 4. But at this point, it's not a terrible hold if you're still in the original set. Keeping it a buck with you guys. If we lose these zones, high probability you get paid out on this. So the riskiest part for a trade is the entry. Once your entry goes green, all you got to do is manage it to stay green and keep your greens. two ways: trimming partials, stops at break even, trailing stops, multiple ways to go about it. But the hard part is just getting a solid entry and going green. So if this entry here goes green on Berkshire, we should do okay with that, hopefully. New lows on Apple here. Nice. Let's see if we can get new lows on AVGO. And new lows on Berkshire, new lows on gold. That would be neat. Then we got GJ. Whoa, what'd I do? We got GJ selling now, clearly, right? This is what we wanted to see happening here. What we haven't seen is dollar coming up. So Rosana, I don't know if you're still in here, but this is what I was talking about divergences earlier. This we called out earlier. We wanted to see happen, right? GJ already delivered his target for the most part. As you can see, this is what we wanted to see. We're basically done. What hasn't happened is this breakout on dollar. So if I know that these were the targets and one already happened, instead of trying to short GJ here at the lows, which is already into the target, you're much better off taking these longs into targets on USD CAD, if that makes sense. And as you can see here, we're having literal inverse candles on the 1 minute. So red on USD CAD, green on GJ. These are inverses, which is right now the action's normal. All I'm stating is there's a divergence. Why? Because this is what we wanted to see happen in the morning, which we got the sell on GJ, but we did not get the buy on UCAD. We got a sell, which does not make sense. So here, either UCAD is about to buy to these targets and we're gonna get a leg lower on GJ, or GJ is gonna hold these targets, bounce back to the highs, and you're gonna continue selling, selling on USD CAD below this level. So that's what I was talking about, divergences. Price should move in sync, and when it's not, that's when you pay attention. Like here, look at that bounce on SPY, and I bet you Apple did the same, or it's trying to at least. But there's a divergence right now taking place on USD CAD versus GJ, which I want to see resolved. And it's basically more clues and more confirmations on top of what I'm already seeing here. So Berkshire below the 3 minute, if it starts reclaiming that, you might want to get out your trade. But what I want to see myself right now is the flip on GJ and USD CAD. Hasn't happened yet, and I'm gonna be watching it. But like I said, watch that bounce here on GJ versus the breakdown on dollar. So we already got our target here, not here. So let's see which one's telling the truth. We're about to find out next 3 minutes. And then gold retesting these lows. Let's see if we manage to get that breakdown. If we do get that breakdown, we should get our second and third target delivered here, hopefully. Oh, do not like this candle on UVXY. So GJ still trying to bounce, no closures yet. I'm gonna wait for the next 3 minutes, but within the next 3 minutes, I'm definitely gonna manage my trades if we don't get the breakdowns. So everyone should be ready to do the same here. Watch your positions. The next 3 minutes are gonna be key here. And look at this. Now we have red candles on GJ, which is the breakdown we want to continue to see. And look at this bounce on USD CAD. Look at that strength. So again, if you're trading just one pair, if I'm blindly looking at USD CAD, I'm gonna get shaken out of trades because I'm like, oh shit, this trade's going against me, it's breaking down, the levels don't make work, it doesn't make sense. But when you trade it against something like GJ, you're like, this is going, according to plan. We want to see the breakdown on GJ, got the GJ breakdown. We still have the same upside targets on USD CAD, it just hasn't happened. So per that thesis, watching the divergence, you say, hey, I'm going to take the longs here on USD CAD, assuming GJ remains breaking down. So again, it doesn't work out 100% of the time. But if you're looking for clues or multiple confirmations, not even clues or multiple confirmations, the advantage of divergences is taking advantage of the divergence itself. Because when the divergence corrects itself, that's money to be made. And look at here again. USD CAD rejecting that zone, now GJ trying to break out. So this is the moment of truth. This level versus this level. So now we got it to a pinpoint. If this pinpoint goes in my favor, USD CAD up, GJ down, I know that my targets on USD CAD are going to be my original targets from this morning. Up here. That's how I trade the divergences myself. Take note of them. Apply them, execute them, and look, that's what we just discussed. Rejection here on GJ, breakout on USD CAD. Let's see if it comes to fruition. This is more advanced stuff. Like most people don't even look at multiple pairs. Regardless, most people don't even do Forex, and then cross pair trading, analyzing all that. It gets a lot more complicated. So if you can't analyze one pair, how you going to cross pair, analyze, and trade multiple assets at one time? There's whole hedge funds that run strats off this. I'm telling you, this is a real thing. Cross pair trading is a really good way if you're doing Forex to help you take advantage of different situations. Let's see what happens here. Now USD CAD giving us the breakout, and let's see if GJ actually breaks down. But like I said, just take note of price across different pairs. SPY rejection arrow, small. Want to see a flip on Bitcoin, hopefully into this zone. If that happens, great. Nice strength here on USD, so great. Let's see what happens. Berkshire, yes sirski. Good soup. Who's still in Berkshire? Everything trades together, everything. Bitcoin, gold, oil, SPY, Apple, Nvidia, everything trades together. The minute shit starts diverging, that's where the money's made. That's why I'm telling you guys, short the fuck out of gold. Gold is at all-time highs, while the rest of the market is down 20-30% off the highs. If you short gold here at these highs, what's the 20-30% drop gonna look like? You at least 20-40 bucks in the money. If you could get $20-$40 move, that's money. So the thesis here is short gold at the highs to potentially profit from that 20% drop if it happens like we already got across the market. So that's a potential trade there on gold. But yeah, everything should trade together. And again, if anyone took Berkshire, consider managing. We're into a potential bounce area here. Okay, are you green on Berkshire? Ramiro, I don't know when you got in, if you added, didn't add, your port, how you're balancing it. I hope you don't have a ridiculous amount of contracts. Max, maybe you got what, 1 or 2? If you got more than that, chill, bro. But they're pretty green, so up to y'all. I'm green on the ad. If you did not add, you're maybe small greens here, but you're for sure green over the first entry I gave y'all. Yes to which question? 291 May 2. So talk to me, bro. Keeping it a buck. Actually, no. You did send me your report. Never mind. I kind of have an idea what you should have. Per your capital account size, I don't know what other trades you have on. So that's the only thing that might make a difference. If you already have a lot of shorter dated trades, then maybe go for like a May 17 just to be a little safer. If you don't have any shorter dated trades, then I'm not against May 2nd. That would be cool. I'm cool with that. But if you do have shorter dated trades already, I'd rather you try to do like May 17 or something, so you have at least one trade that's going to hold you down for some time. But May 2 solid, so up to you. I probably wouldn't go too low on the strike. Maybe 290 to 285 is the lowest I would go. And that's for swings, bro. I don't want to see nobody sport. Oh, I got a 0 DT at 285. Like, no, bro. This is for swings. So if you want to take a swing, which I'll start doing some write-ups right now in the chat. If you want to do some swings, the May 17th are probably best. If you want to do May 2nd, that's okay. But like I said, you're probably better off doing like a 290. The closer in the money, the better if you can afford it. But I'd probably do maybe like a 290, 285 lowest. Like, if you go closer in the money, it's always going to be better. But I would not go under 290, 285. Yeah, for a swing, that's solid. But like I said, if you have shorter dated trades, you're better off grabbing more time to May 17. You're going to pay a little more money up front, and I know you don't have a lot of capital to start right now. But I think it's a clean trade. Yes, I do recommend definitely sizing up your account. We just had a breakdown on USD CAD, so be careful here, guys. I do think it's a lot better to take safer trades like swings and stuff until you have more capital. Then you can put smaller, small percent of your positions into 0 DT, stuff like that. That's cool. But yeah, I'm not against that. Let me check prices for you real quick. Hold on. I'd probably do the 285s, bro. Yeah, I don't think I'd do 280s. It's not bad, but 285 is the lowest I would go. And the closer you go in the money, the more money you're gonna make. You risk more up front, but you can also make a lot more. So it goes back to where you're getting in on the trades, what you're paying, the premiums and all that. If you go 295 for May, you're paying about double, no, more than double. Let's say even the 290. The 290, you're paying, I'm trying to do the quick math. Does it make sense? Kinda. So let's say you look at the 290 price and the so the 290 is trading for 450 at the bid, 465 at the ask. The 285 is trading at 292, 299. So price difference, you're looking at about $1.50 max. Let's say it's really more like $1.30, but let's say $1.30 price difference on a $5 strike difference. So do you want to pay 130 bucks more and potentially make 500 more? Or would you rather say, hey, I'll rather save the 130 bucks right now, but make 500 less later? So that's the decision you got to make. In my opinion, it's always going to make more sense to pay the extra 100 bucks if you can make 500 versus, hey, I'll save 100, but later on, I'm not going to make those 500. I just don't think risk to reward, it makes a lot of sense. You're better off spending the extra 100 bucks. You're already spending, a decent amount of money. Just spend the extra 100 and you can make potentially 500 more on top. That's the way I see it. So up to you, bro. 285 is cool, but maybe even the 290 might be a little more solid. And like I said, you're gonna pay extra, but you can make more on top. It's just about quality over quantity type shit. And we did get the bounce here on Berkshire off the lows. Apple's still threatening a breakdown while AVGO trying to come up, Berkshire trying to come up. If I had to guess, they're still gonna pull back from these levels. Might be mistaken. Let's see what happens. But I'm not really looking to force buys here on anything. And Apple, like I said, we have lower targets. Just a matter of fact if they actually deliver them. Okay, so William, I don't know exactly what you have for gold, but regardless, I think you're gonna have to manage that. Meaning, add here to lower your cost-based average, or just stomach the loss. If you want to just stomach the loss, you don't want to add more capital to the trade, that's fine. But I myself did end up adding to the trade just because the prices made sense, and if I can lower my average, it'll help me out a lot in the long run. Later down the line, where I might potentially be break even if I don't add, I might potentially be, relatively green if we do get the breakdown. So again, might be making a mistake, but I do think this is a really good spot to add or start swings if not in them. And again, William, I'm not telling you have to add. Just make sure you kind of are keeping an eye on that. And if you have the opportunity of adding, I don't think it's terrible. Just to lower your average and whatnot. Once you get back to your original entry, if you want to reduce half the risk, you can do that. But regardless, you're going to have a much lower average cost. So your call. And Berkshire getting rejected off this top range here. Hopefully we can continue to stay below there and make new lows for anyone still in that. And then gold, I told you guys down here, if we didn't break below, we were going to bounce. So far it's doing that. I'm glad I took some off on the 0 DTEs. And then I want to see what happens across the board here. Maybe I'll add more size on swings for gold. Haven't done it yet. Let's see what's going on. So watching Apple here for a new breakdown. AVGO starting to push here, so be careful here for real, across the board. I'm still okay with the sells. Berkshire looks okay. Hopefully you can get it like lower. And Apple still looks okay, but the one that's kind of not scaring me because I'm not in anything on AVGO, but it is threatening to break out. It's AVGO, so be mindful for your other short positions. Like I said, like Berkshire, if this does break out, the rest of the market should follow. So watching Berkshire here, anyone green, break even, small loss, whatever, consider managing above this level if it does happen. And if we stay below, we should see the low of day, which would put us in the money. So breakout versus going in the money scenario here on Berkshire, whoever's riding that with me. Berkshire looking alright here. Let's see what we get. And then low rejection on AVGO, but like I said, I don't have any positions on that. The one I want to see break down is Berkshire. So let's see if that manages to happen here. Back above 533, I'm gonna just call it on that. And anyone loading swings, be mindful. We might not get our triggers till later in the week, maybe Wednesday, if not till Thursday latest. So theoretical scenario, let's say you did load swings here, don't know your time frame, don't know your risk, don't know the trades, but what would happen? This is a theoretical question for you to ask yourself based off what you're holding in your portfolio. What would happen if we chopped around this entire week? You know, up, down, chopped the entire week. or if we had a small breakout into midweek before actually heading lower. Would you be able to stomach that? Would you have room to add higher? If we break down, would you be happy with your size on the breakdown? Just ask yourself multiple questions, and I try to hypothesize multiple different scenarios to try to protect myself. If this happens, how is it going to affect me in my portfolio? If this happens, how would it benefit me? How would this not benefit me? So you think the more, so what's the quote? Prepare for the worst. I don't know, something like prepare for the worst. No, expect the best, be prepared for the worst, or whatever the saying is. So sure, you want to expect that your trades are all going to hit, but you have to be prepared for them all to lose. So mentally looking at the levels, reducing risk, any type of management. So think of that right now. So let's say we do chop all week, or again, we have a small breakout this week into Wednesday or Thursday. Are you okay to stomach that? If the answer is no, then manage your port, whether it's taking off size, exiting, rolling, do whatever you have to do, but just think of that scenario. If that does happen, how would that affect your portfolio? And again, if your portfolio cannot stomach that, you do not have room to add, you're all in, whatever the case may be, you definitely got to make adjustments. But this is not a spot where I'm telling you guys, hey, 100% sales go in. Like, no, the levels look okay, but I don't think we can get confirmation until later this week if they fail to do so here. So just because we have lower targets on Apple and we're saying, hey, it's going to go fill those levels, sure, it can go fill those levels, doesn't mean it has to happen today. What if we rally from here, chop all week, and then chop all week, and then later in the week we come do that? So be prepared for that. And again, everyone has different positions, different risks, and all that. So just look at your port, be mindful of those potential scenarios going on. How would you deal with that? Can you deal with it? Would it fuck you up? Would you be okay? So all that is food for thought. Let's see what's going on. So, but below this 532, 533, I'm gonna sit on Berkshire for a tiny bit. Hopefully we get new lows. But if we do start pushing back above this, I can't really see that color. If we do start pushing it back above this is gonna be my exit. And I'm even considering re-engaging gold again for another scalp. First set paid. Might try to reshort it here. We're back into the same zone we fell from earlier for this repeat move. Haven't taken it. Gonna look at prices, but that's something I'm watching here for a fast scalp maybe. Assuming we're gonna break down across the board. Let's see what we get here. I nibble super small size on gold like I said I would on those 0 DTEs. This is a fast scalp anywhere above 296. I'll probably call it. There's a fast scalp again, reshorting the area we had shorted from earlier. Paid a little bit. Nothing crazy. Pop above, exit, keep it tactical, and then if we break down, hopefully those pay out. But Apple is basing and trying to move up from these lows, so careful. AVGO been above its levels. Now Apple trying to do the same, so watch out. And then Berkshire, you have this 532.50, 533 that I'm watching. Let me see what GJ's doing. Yeah, GJ push up, a small breakdown on dollar, nothing crazy. That's why I shouldn't do 290. Yeah, so like you said, you're trying to swing and you're trying to get better quality swings. It's up to you. I get it. It's a lot of capital, but like you said, it has a lot of time. This trade should hold you down for the next month. You can always manage it, roll, take profits, sell something against it. There's a lot of ways to, you know, mitigate that risk along the way. But let's see. So it goes one of two ways. One, a swing is going to be more passive in the aspect that it doesn't move as fast. Your percent loss or percent win is going to move a lot slower than if you were in something like a weekly. So it's more conservative. You're not going to make as much percent wise in return, but you're also not going to lose it as fast. So swings, in my opinion, are easier to throw size on. Something like a weekly or a 0DTE, it's really hard to throw size on. Not that it's hard, like you literally just press the button, done, it's done. Like you can do it, but doing it safely, consecutively for a long time over and over, it's not going to be easy. If you're swinging stuff, you can size positions, you know, 10K, over 10K, whatever, because you can gradually scale in. Like I was telling you guys in sets, let's say my risk is 10K, I could do 2.5K risk at a time, or you're getting average entries at good points. Versus if you're trying to do it weekly, you know, you don't have much time, especially 0DT. Within a day to scale into a 10K position, you don't have much time. It's pretty much, you know, you're in and out. You can't really, you know, scale in, scale out, manage. Like it's a lot harder to do. If you have a swing, you have time to think, you have time to get in, you have time to get out. It's not like a 0DT where shit, I missed my exit and now I'm fucked. No, a swing, you're gonna have multiple points to manage entries and exits. So I think it's a little easier to put on size and to consistently grow an account. If you're doing 0DTs, yes, you can grow an account, but it's going to be a lot harder because they're a lot more inconsistent. You can consistently, you know, take swings and be profitable. And I'm not saying you can't consistently take day trades and be profitable on the 0DTs. You can. It's just statistically a lot harder, and against your you put the statistical odds against you. So the statistical odds, in my opinion, are in those swings where you have time to manage. Because if one day the trade goes against you, like shit, you're already fucked, you're done. If you have a month or more than a month to manage, all right, so take some off, put some back on, exit, re-enter. You can do a lot of things. And one day you don't have much time to think. Yeah, yup, definitely. But yeah, I personally don't do nothing crazy size on shorter dated trades. Here and there, yes, I'll take scalps in size, but generally my portfolio, my bread and butter is gonna be your swings. And I've told this to everyone. Yes, you're gonna make money day trading, but where you're really gonna make money is where you can, you know, stack and grow positions over time, scaling in and out of positions. So we'll see what happens here, but up to you. If you've never taken a swing, I definitely recommend doing it at least one time, especially on this gold setup that looks really clean. Once you see how premiums move, how to manage it, you got to be patient. I will say that if you're not a patient person, it's not the best. Sometimes you got to sit, you know, for a week, for days, for, you know, you might sit on a contract for 4 days. It won't pay you. It'll be flat the entire 4 days on that. And then you sell it. And on that 5th day, boom, fat payday. So just be ready for stuff like that, you know. But I do think swings are much better trades. Berkshire, small pop here above resistance while I was explaining that. If we stay above, that trade's going to be no. If we get back below, might still be viable for a little bit of a pullback here. And then gold, I'm still in that. Any push above higher, I'm going to get out of that. But I did add, so let's see what happens. And then Apple trying to push higher here and reclaim the levels we fell from, while UVXY is having tiny bids. So Want to see what happens next 3 minutes here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna sit on those cells here. If anyone's not in gold, I really like that here. USD CAD looks like it finally might rally here. Pretty cheap for the 0DTs if anyone decides to scalp that on gold. Let's see. So I did flip my timer. Has maybe about minute and a half here left. After that time's up, if I don't see the flip here, which it looks like we might not get, I'm gonna probably just call it here, at least for the trades I got on. Wait a bit more, see if I get a re-entry before line close, and if not, I'll just call it on the trading day. Like I said, I don't want to force too much. We might not get the setups until later in the week, so no need to force stuff here, but let's see. Alright, so it's probably gonna be a wrap here for those trades. If anybody took them, definitely want to cut here. I don't know how you guys are managing your own risk, if you're doing percent, dollar amount, time, levels, etc. But whatever you guys are doing, if it's still, you know, let's say you said, hey, I'm gonna use this percent stop loss, this dollar amount stop loss. If that has not stopped you out and you wanna, you know, follow your own risk rules, that is okay. But me personally, at this point, based off what I'm seeing on the charts, I think it's gonna be the best time to just go ahead and call it on those trades. Can we flip here? Maybe. So like I said, if you guys want to give it a couple more percentage points, couple more minutes, whatever, to each his own. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and start taking some of my size off here just before it might become a bigger loss potentially. So if you want to watch these levels, again, I don't know how you guys are managing your trades, but per my risk, I'm gonna go ahead and call this. Let's check. So it's not terrible, but definitely you guys are gonna be down on Berkshire here. Let's see. I didn't want to cut it as a loss, and technically I still don't. So I'm gonna give this trade maybe a minute or two. If we get a flip here in the minute or two, I'm gonna try to hold it and at least see if I can take some off for break even or small greens. But at this point, they're paying you, again, I don't know what y'all got in at, but if I get out at this point, I'm getting out for a loss on both sets. So earlier I could have gotten out half on the drop, half of my sets, reduce my averages lower my risk. I didn't do that, it's fine. But at this point, like I said, if we flip, I'll sit on them a bit longer. Any new highs, I'm just go ahead and call it. But right now, you're gonna be getting filled around the price we got for the second set. So if you didn't get second set, you're only holding first set. You're for sure down on that first set, and you're gonna be selling for a loss, which is what I don't want. So again, if we get a small pullback here and you can get out with a smaller loss, break even, no loss, anything, consider it. And above 535, just fuck it. I'll eat the loss. All right, push number 535, so definitely should have taken that off. It is what it is. Up to y'all. Again, if you want to hold it, to each his own, but I don't think that's something I would probably do. Going on mute for 1 second, guys. I'm still here, but on mute for 1 second. All right, I'm back, yo. Let's see what's going on. So, looks like we got a small flip here, right at the bottom range. So, perspective, just to tell you, so you guys see what's going on. This was the level we needed to hold on Apple, right? Broke down below, try to get back above, rejected, currently below. So, next thing to happen here is, do they break these lows and put in new lows, or do they bounce? As for everything else, small pullbacks as well. Netflix rejected right into that 950. Oh, it was a beautiful entry. These contracts are way too expensive. Maybe consider selling call spreads on this. Maybe not for me as earnings, but should pay okay. Just because buying puts is way too expensive. But yeah, maybe selling call spreads wouldn't be too bad on Netflix. Keep in mind they have ER. The Berkshire small pullback, gold small pullback. Want to see gold lose this zone right here. If it does, I'll stay in my cells. So I'm glad I stepped away for a minute. I would have probably maybe taken this off. So watch the zone here on gold. Did we get below this? Great. If not, again, consider taking these off. Let's see what's going on with GJ. So remember I said we needed to see that gold, that USD CAD breakout? We got rejected right into that level we mentioned, and GJ reclaimed the level here, right? Testing it here again. So the levels to watch remain the same. This for more upside on the markets. As long as GJ is above this, markets are gonna head higher. And as long as dollars obviously coming into the lows, markets are not gonna stop rallying. But the main one I want to watch is GJ. GJ's been telling the truth. GJ trades super clean, which is I trade GJ mostly, GJ and gold. This is a super clean level, which we haven't moved from all day. So again, when I was mentioning the divergence earlier, it's even worse now. Let me show you. GJ, you see how it's literally trading within the same range as this morning? Same range, hasn't broke down, literally right at the midpoint that we've been trading at all day. So how come USD CAD is way at the lows? In my opinion, dollar pairs are super manipulated, which is I prefer pound, which is like your dollar, versus the yen, as opposed to dollar versus the yen. A lot less manipulation goes on in the pound instead of the dollar. But again, this move, in my opinion, sure, you can be, you know, like you have this, it makes sense. Now we can rally from here. But in retrospect, I do think names like GJ trade a lot cleaner than USD CAD. A lot more manipulation, which is fine. But as a trader, so there's 3 phases in trading. 3 phases: manipulation, distribution, and accumulation. So those are your manipulation legs, which again are fine if you're on the right side. You can take advantage of them. But if you're on the wrong side, they can definitely hurt you. So names like GJ trade a lot cleaner. The entire day, they've just been accumulating here for the distribution to happen. Oops. For the distribution to happen on a cleaner range. I just like GJ better, trust. Some names trade a lot cleaner than others. You guys probably didn't even know that, but yes, some names literally trade better than others. Names like Tesla, trash. You're much better off trading something like Apple, like SPY. Trade a lot cleaner than, you know. Tesla's not terrible. There's some names that are really bad. So look, nice action here on GJ, trying to get back below the level that we mentioned here, while dollar is way lower now. So this is a super, here it was a divergence. The divergence got wider. The divergence got even wider here. So that's what I'm telling you. If you take advantage of trades like this, which I didn't take longs earlier, and I'm probably not going to take them here, but if you take advantage per these comments, this is a super good buy on USD CAD, because we did all this while GJ is literally at the same place. So there's that, but that's pretty much how the distribution, sorry, not distribution, divergences play out, work. You could take advantage of them. Look at US oil coming down, gold trying to lose that 3,200 level, GJ, see if we could lose this, and then SPY might give up the bottom range. Let's see. And then Bitcoin's already given up levels here. Remember I told you guys earlier, this is the level we wanted to watch on Bitcoin? This is where we broke out from, right? Now let's see what happens into this level. Do we bounce from here? The bulls have to hold this. Danger. Bitcoin's slipping right here. Look at oil. GJ under. Let's see if SPY breaks down here. Anybody not short SPY, assuming it is going to trigger these lows, you can maybe scalp the 0 DTs. I'm not taking it, but fast hands, you get a nice little drop maybe. And then, like I said, Bitcoin has to hold this box. If we lose this box, we can see a lot more selling pressure across the market. Let's see what gold does. This was what we wanted to see earlier off these levels. Breakout versus breakdown. Got the breakout. Now let's see if we can get the breakdown. And if we do get the breakdown and then lose these lows, we're going to come down to here. But this should take us down to GP maybe. And there's a breakdown on SPY. Let's see if we can hit targets. What's Apple doing? Did Apple break down? Oops, wrong chart. Apple still hasn't broke down, and look at how much we still have room to fall on Apple. So I wouldn't be surprised if SPY actually gives us the leg down. Let's see what Apple does. Berkshire is flipping here, so like I said, depending how much size you guys have on Berkshire, if you can get out green or with a small loss, break even, I'd consider it. If we do give up these lows, 531, which are way off from where we're at, we have this level to fight with first. That's 532.50. Lose that. Next level 531. We get under that, you're getting paid out. But for now, watch these for potential bounces. And like I said, consider taking some risk off. Let's see what's up here on gold. I'm telling you guys that Preem sale on Netflix coming in 950 would have been beautiful. I just don't really want to take that risk with earnings, but I'm pretty sure they're going down on ER. And puts, sure you can make money, but they're really expensive. Probably like 2,000 or something for a contract. So I'd rather sell those premiums on the call side, pocket them, and hope that you obviously don't get squeezed on ER. Nice flip here. So gold broke down the level we wanted to see. Berkshire now testing that support. So it used to be previous resistance, now it's going to be forward support. Let's see what happens here. No new lows on Apple just yet. AVGO still hasn't gotten below the level we wanted to see it below earlier. So until that doesn't happen, nothing major yet, I would say. Pull trigger before the big upside candle on Amazon. Had weekly call just like the green on the day. Shit, if you were in calls and you got out before that big red, that's clean game. Could have been obviously a loss or a break even or whatever. So if you caught a move to the upside and got out green, fuck it, be happy, bro. Breakdown on Apple here, new lows. Berkshire, let's see if we lose support here. And then gold is still here. Let's see if we push lower. Squeezed me a bit though, not gonna lie. I wanted it to fade into these levels. It is what it is. So nice low reds here on Apple now. Berkshire, come on, bro, just lose that already. There you go. Good boy, good boy. NVIDIA to manufacture. I don't care about that. Any Trump news or chip news, any news in general, like, this is my news right here. Anything happens, I'm gonna see it on the chart. Trump or any bad news that just happens, like, you gonna see this shit right here. I don't gotta see the news. You gonna see it on the charts. Just trade the levels. Nice sell right here on Apple. And again, we still have a bit of drop. Maybe another $3-4, assuming they're gonna hold the lows. Keyword assuming. Don't assume, by the way. You assume you make an ass out of you and me, so don't assume. Wait till it gets there. If it bounces, alright. Trade the reactions. Don't be assuming shit. So I want to see what happens here to support on Berkshire, and then Apple still far away from the lows that I want to see a bounce at. But again, there is no indication that we have to go all the way down there today. We could go close those gaps later this week, later this month, later this year. So do not force the sells. If you got in on anything from the highs and you're getting paid, like I said, consider managing. Berkshire for myself, let's see. We're probably about break even net here. No, small green, nothing crazy. I'm green a tiny bit. The first set's still red, second set's green. We're about at first set's entry. So assuming you got the first set here, whenever it was, you're at about break even. So consider getting out here for break even, small win, small loss, or one of two things happening from here. The breakdown, great, you're getting paid. But if we break back out towards the highs, you're obviously going to get squeezed more than you just were getting squeezed. So break even here, or flip the coin that you get the breakdown, get profits, break out above, consider taking it off, because again, you'll get squeezed more than you just did. So I'm still short. I'm holding and hoping for the breakdown. I don't know if you guys are still writing Berkshire or not, or gold, but be mindful of what's going on here in the levels. SPY put, you took it on the breach of the lows. Let me check SPY for you. That's not bad. The only thing I will say is, again, I don't know when you took it. If you took it on the breach of the lows, that's fine. The only problem with that is that if you are going to bounce, where are you going to bounce? Into support at the lows. So that's where shorting at the lows becomes a potential issue. If we stay below and obviously confirm, you're solid. But anytime you're shorting into the lows, you got to be careful. So technically we came into GP. So this box here is an area we can maybe bounce from. If they lose this, I'd say you're gonna get paid out more. But if they fail to get under this right now, you wanna be careful. That's a potential bounce zone. As long as we stay below 541.90, 542, you should be okay. We might just be doing this bounce here before putting in lower lows. And then as for Berkshire, it's bouncing off of that 532.50 support level. So again, I want to see it lose this, or you might want to just consider taking the break even or a small loss or whatever you're at here, as opposed to a breakout, and you're going to take a much bigger loss. And if you want to risk it for the breakdown to get paid out, that's fine too. Just letting you guys know the potential scenario here. But it obviously is a much better look here than up here. I was about to exit for a loss. Right here, you could exit small win if you added. And if you didn't, small win or break even. 540, 539, I'm cool with that. So what I would do for SPY is watch Apple. Why? Because you have cleaner levels on Apple. If Apple's slipping, SPY's slipping. So maybe I'd hold SPY up until a retest of these levels on Apple, which is your gap close. Or maybe even 202, 201 if you want to be conservative. But yeah, watch Apple, because if Apple does this, literally what it's doing right now, SPY's going to take off too. So SPY hasn't really ran yet. You watching SPY here, hasn't really ran yet, right? But look at Apple. So again, as long as we're below levels, it's cool. But if Apple really starts to run, SPY's going to do the same thing. So just watch out with that. Oh, good soup, good soup. So rejection here on Apple off those highs. Might be following this path, which would be perfect. But again, watch Apple. There's no way SPY's gonna go down if Apple doesn't. So if you see the breakdown here below 204 on Apple, you're about to get paid out on those SPYs. And then into like 202, 201, if you see that, or even lower if you really want to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna hold it. You can do that, but definitely into 202, 201. If you have multiple contracts, I'd consider taking some. And then Berkshire about to give us the breach right here. Let's see. Holding Berkshire. Let's go. I'm dying, bro. My bad for laughing, gang. But when you say small profit, I thought you made, like 30 bucks, 50 bucks, something like. I want to go look at your fucking profit post. This motherfucker made 90 cents. My bad, gang. That should make me laugh. Hey, that's fire though. Shit, I'll take a 90-cent win over a fucking loss any day, bro. The fact that you said, hey, the trade's not going good, I'm gonna get out for a small win, fire. If you do that shit every single time, on the trades that start going against you, fuck it, break even, fuck it, small loss, fuck it, small win, and let the winners run, you're gonna be solid, game. So that's clean, bro. I don't know about flipping bullish. If it stays below 296, I wouldn't say so. Nice breakdown right here on Berkshire. For sure getting paid on those now. Which I almost fucking sold. That's crazy. Watch Apple here. What's SPY doing? Whoops, that is not it. So SPY cool, beautiful. Coming into that breakdown area we discussed, but Apple has not sold yet. So if Apple actually breaks down here, it's gonna send SPY much lower. But at the same time, why is Apple not selling with SPY? This can also save the market. So watch Apple for clues, but I really want to see a net leg lower here. Like I said, gap below is open. We got much lower targets. So 786 here on SPY. If we break below this, we'll see more selling pressure. For now, this is a potential bounce spot on SPY. I don't know if you guys go DTE or what you got, bro, but watch that level for a potential bounce. Yeah, if you're in 0 DTE, they be moving quick. I'm assuming that's what you took for SPY. So watch this. As long as we're still below 686, 618, you're okay. Gold, yes sir, ski. Alright, so nice little win here on Berkshire. Nothing crazy, but shit, from being red. You probably about to get that breakdown here on SPY, hopefully. What's Apple doing? Oh. So remember what I said earlier, if SPY gonna come down, you need Apple to do it. Might trigger it here, and if it triggers that leg down to 202, 201, you about to get paid out on SPY. There it is. Again, if you're in 0 DT, don't overstay your welcome. They can go crazy, but keep in mind, on any pop, you're gonna lose a lot of premium, and they expire today, so definitely don't want them to expire out the money. Let's get rid of Microsoft, which is making decent progress to the downside here, by the way. If we bounce from here, actually, never mind. I was gonna say Microsoft looks good, but never mind. I prefer the upside on Apple. Nice sales here on Berkshire. What's premium at now? Oh, you're for sure up now. Again, not a crazy win, but from where we were at 15-30 minutes ago, beautiful. So manage if you have to. Up here, if you were down a lot and you're like, shit, I definitely don't want to see that again, consider taking some off into these 531 lows if we get there. Whether it's trimming some, taking partials, trailing stops, putting stops at break even, do what you got to do, but definitely don't let a repeat of this happen where you're down from initial entry. At least I'm not letting that shit happen again. Fuck no. So up to y'all, but definitely this is a place where you manage your trades. I'm not telling you to get out, but I'm saying at least trail, trim, put stops, break even, do what you gotta do. I don't think anything, bro. Just watch. These are the levels. This is the zone. I wouldn't buy this. If that's what you're asking me, should you buy a call here? I wouldn't. Can it? Sure. But again, I wouldn't. I still want to see Apple fill those lower targets, which we have not done. Will it happen? Maybe not today. Eventually, for sure. So, up to y'all. If you want to buy the calls here, not a terrible idea, but not something I try. So, nice little greens there, not bad. As long as we stay below 541, 542, I'd say they have a little bit of resistance. If they get back over 542, then different story. But the name you should be watching is Apple. Let's see what the calls are going for. The Apple calls aren't terrible. I wouldn't buy them myself, but they're not terrible. Price wise, earlier I was saying, hey, it doesn't really make sense to grab the puts. They're really expensive. The calls aren't as expensive as the puts, but I feel like that's saying something. If the calls aren't expensive and right at the jump they were charging you 2 times for the puts, maybe not the best idea to buy calls. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, pre-market in the notes, in the Discord and everything, want to see how Apple potentially closes gap before her considering anything. So let's see if they do it. Sure, Baba? Probably not. I don't know what Baba's at, but I don't think I would. It's not terrible, but probably still has gaps above. Yeah, it does. You still have this gap up here, so I'd refrain from it just because, one, it's an entirely different market. So this could trade a little differently from the US market. But what Apple did was go close gaps, right? So let's hide drawings real quick. We gapped down and then came and closed gaps. SPY, I have Apple up 3 times, bro. Let's put up SPY. SPY, same thing, you can't really see it, but gap down, went up, closed gaps. Apple went up, closed gaps. Baba still has this massive gap here. So sure, eventually reshorting Baba might be okay, but I'd probably wait until they close this gap maybe into like 125 to try it. Just because sure, you can short here, but it's kind of risky. If you get the breakout above this 114, 115 level, you can easily get a $10 squeeze to 125, which will kill you on the puts. So it's a similar comment to the ones on Apple and SPY here. If Apple and SPY break out, like I said, Apple has gaps below, we can sell, but we don't have to do it today. We can go to the upside targets before selling again, so be mindful. Baba, again, it's not terrible, I like it, but just be careful Because what if we gap up overnight like we just did on whatever fucking news? Again, this is Chinese ADR. This is a Chinese market stock, so it moves a little differently than the US market. But yeah, just be mindful of that open gap. That can happen overnight. Same way we can gap up on these names overnight. So let's see what happens. Nice little bounce here on Apple. Nice little bounce on SPY. Let's see what Berkshire's doing. Oof, nice greens on Berkshire. Gold, small, pullback, none major. Yeah, just be careful here on anything, both sides. It's cool. And what's the premium at? Because I know Baba's pretty pricey. So try to use the rule of thumb I told y'all earlier. If you're paying more than what your strike is, you're getting a finessed. And I'm pretty sure there's no way you're getting a contract for $100 on Baba. So $100 for sure. If you want to take the calls are viable, but I'm telling you the big problem is those huge gaps and divergences on Apple. Until Apple does not close gaps or establish some type of footing, I'd be very careful going long. Let's see if you can see the outlook on here. I have my drawings hidden, that's why. So this is the outlook I had, right? This is super extended in time. This can happen within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It can happen in way less time, but this is a theoretical move, right? So what you want to see is, one, these are the highs. These are the highs, which we currently did. This tiny pullback to 534-ish, 535-ish, all that would do is come retrace and close this gap we discussed pre-market. It's not a big pullback. Can we go a tiny bit deeper? Sure. But again, if we hold into these levels, that's fine for that bullish scenario you're discussing. The problem is when you do that pullback and do not hold here and go for this. That's the problem. Because if you lose this, then you can do something like that, right? That's a potential problem. If we hold here, that's fine. But I don't think they will. They're probably going to come close those gaps on Apple to the downside. SPY slips a bit more. Then maybe we might get that bullish scenario. Zoom back out. Not what I wanted to do. So you see the gap here, right? Clearly here. After these levels are closed on SPY and Apple, which again, this is just a small pullback here, then maybe we could do a breakout to 580, 587 on some bullish news, resolution, anything. I don't care what it is. You just need a catalyst to get you above this trigger and you can get that. How high? Don't know. Maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. But the upside potential is definitely there. But I don't think they do it until we close these downside gaps. So again, can we squeeze from here? Sure. And then we come close the downside gaps later on in the week, month, whatever. But again, just showing you both sides, upside and down, to be careful. But here, myself, I'm on the short side. If we close gaps and bounce, maybe I'll take the longs. Oh, Berkshire. Who's still in Berkshire? Again, I told y'all earlier, into 531, this is your decision point. If you lose this level and you want to hold for more profits, great, beautiful. But this is a potential area we might bounce from. So if you want to consider booking some profits from here, not a terrible idea. And again, you might say, oh, well, I'm only up this much. I get it. But how much were you down up here? Just take the small win. Let's see, flipping my 3-minute timer within the next 3 minutes. I'm definitely managing. And again, I'm not telling you have to get out. Do something as simple as setting your stop to break even. At least you're not going to lose money. You want to set it in profit a couple of dollars, that's cool too. But do something that ensures you're at least not going to lose money. Or try to mitigate the risk of losing money. Nice selling pressure here on SPY and on Apple. So I hope nobody tried to take longs there. If you did, just be careful. We still haven't broken down below major levels. But again, just be careful if you are trying to be long. Berkshire in one, out one. So you're out full, or you had two and you have one left. If you're out full, if it's a small win or a green, fuck it, a green is a green. I'm happy with that. If we lose this 531, we can get paid out a lot more. But again, if you have multiple contracts, then you could have scaled some, and or just again something as simple as putting stops to break even will go a long way. Had two? All right, perfect, beautiful. So now you have one to hold you down if you keep getting paid. You minimize your risk. You got a small win, so solid. We're going in the money here on Berkshire if we lose 530.50. Let's see if they can do it. Oh, SPY. Can we hit TPs? Apple too. Nice moves here. So just a normal guy. I got it. What's your name, gang? But just a normal guy. If you still in those SPY puts, like I said, coming into 202, 201 on Apple, maybe get out. If you want to get out before, that's cool. But I do think these might be viable targets for today. Berkshire, nice move here. Slipping under 530 now. Those are about to go in the money. Whoever grabbed them. Rose, I'm lit. Insert Travis Scott voice. I need to get auto-tune in this bitch. Talk about it's lit. I'm gonna have to bring back the soundboard today. Good suit. Yeah, bro, you gonna hit 537 on that shit for sure, if any. 537.5, 536 maybe even. Look at SPY slipping, and Apple hasn't even lost levels yet. So, sheesh. Yo, Ramiro, you in Berkshire too, nah? Now AVGO losing the lows from this morning that it couldn't lose. So watch this here. Does AVGO lose low a day, or do we try to bounce from here? Whoops, what did I do? Look at that drop on SPY. I already know, bro, paid on those 0 DTs. Yeah, you probably gonna hit 537.5 on that shit. Who's in Berkshire? Just William? Soundboard too loud? Oh my bad, just playing. I could do soundboard lower. I'll figure it out, but nah. I was playing too much that day, rather stay focused. Berkshire, I'm gonna take some off here. If we drop more, great. Low a day, target 2, 527 would be beautiful. But I have a lot of contracts and fuck that. I was red as fuck earlier. So I'm holding some for sure, but at this point I'm actually gonna take some off the books. Just cause yeah. They're up 50%. I'm up 50% from, well, like I said, I had 2 sets. So my average is a little lower. If you just had the first set never added, you're still pretty green here. Definitely take some off. I'm gonna set it at ask. If I get filled, I get filled. If not, I'll try writing some. Alright, let's see. Let me get just one new low on Berkshire so I can get out at the ask, please. So SPY's into that bottom range, hasn't closed its gap just yet, but it's into that gap zone here. And again, when you're trading fast, you don't want all the money, you just want some of the money, because any small pullback on something fast or shorter dated is going to cost you a bit of premiums. Oh, come on. Yeah, bro, off these levels. You chilling as long as we stay within here. If we start putting new highs above this, so yeah, so. But for now, you're cooling, bro. It's a small little pullback. I mean, not really small, sizable, but in retrospect, from where we're coming from, nothing major. So we stay below here, you're cooling. Next, like lower inbound. AVGO still below levels, Berkshire below levels, gold trying to come down, so it looks okay. If any of these here show you a major sign of strength, then yeah, different story. But right now it's just a little retracement within levels, not major. For SPY, again, I don't know how fast you are. I'm assuming you're in 0ZTE. Below, technically, you want to stay below 541. 544 if you want to be a little more tactical. But the real level where sales are invalid is 542. The only problem is if we range anywhere within these ranges, obviously the longer we stay here, you're going to start losing premiums on that. What you need is a, obviously new leg lower here pretty quick. And you pop higher, even into like, what is this? 540.40. Even if we come up, $1 to 540.40, you're going to lose a bit of premium on that. So let's see. But I'm telling you, still technically valid within these levels as long as we don't break out above these highs. So this can happen before going lower, still be valid. But again, on that little pop here, you're going to give up a bit of premiums. And then if we do reclaim these levels, then the sales are just invalid over that 541.34. So let's see if we get the breakdown right from these levels. Your call. I'm sure you're still green as fuck on it. So look, if you're making the comments just for price action, that's great. Like, okay, good call outs, share charts, share data, share whatever, that's great. But if you're saying, hey, it's flipping because you're scared of the trade or whatever, you want to get out of the trade, you're totally fine to do that. Like I've told you guys are welcome to take any trades. Something I don't talk about, close at any time you want, get in. Like, I try to share my own opinions on the markets, but if you have your own indicator, your own analysis, or your own reasons why you say, hey, I no longer want to hold this trade, or I want to take something else, or whatever, that's fine. Just get out of your trades. That's cool. So again, if you're making those comments for commentary, great. But if you're asking me, again, it's your call. If that's your indicator and you believe in it and you're saying, hey, I have reasons to get out of my sales here, then go ahead. But like I said, majority of the trades were green at the lows. So hopefully you managed. For now, just small retracements. This would be your resistance level on Berkshire, where we broke down from, retest, maybe head lower versus a breakout above there. And then SPY trying to pull back a bit. AVGO new lows, Apple new lows. So I'm okay with what I'm in. Look at Apple. Sheesh. So at 202, 201.50, still going to be that level to watch on Apple. Want to see what Apple does into those levels and what SPY's doing at the time that Apple's getting into here, if it even happens. Wells Fargo calls, fuck it, solid. Probably not something I'd be in, not gonna lie. Do you have this gap up from over the weekend? So open gap below, resistance overhead. This whole zone is resistance. Open gap below, and then you have massive sell side liquidity on the breakdown. So watch this open gap. What happens here? Breakout versus breakdown. Did you end up selling a normal guy? If you ain't sell, you definitely not a normal guy. You a fucking savage. Yeah, change your fucking name, bro. This motherfucker, you ain't no normal guy. Let's see if we get the breakdown here. Yeah, lows right here. Let me see how you do this. There we go. Change your name, bro. That's more fitting. Let's see that test here on Apple. One more new low. Oh, gold. I didn't even see that shit. Yes, sir, ski. So again, the quote unquote safe and correct thing to do, in my opinion, is taking some profits into these lows. Doesn't matter if you're in SPY, you're in anything. I would take some off here. Can we go lower? Sure. But I would take some profits here. Majority, if you're in only one contract, I get it. You're fucked. You know, take the win. It is what it is. Can we butter and slice much lower from here? Sure. But this is also the area where it is a lot more probable we bounce from. So that would mean, you know, giving back a lot of premiums, potentially even going red or sheesh, Netflix, nice move. Whatever, you know. So again, if you are coming into these levels 202, 201, as we discussed today, take your profits on the puts. If you have multiple, you want to leave some runners, different story. But if you only have one contract per se, I would do this correct thing to do here, which is take your profits. Might you leave a lot of money on the table? Sure, but you're at least locking in a really good win. Look at UVXY off the rip. We got wicks higher on UVXY. So there it is. Apple, not yet, not quite yet, almost there. And like I said, I want to see what SPY's doing at the time that Apple's coming into these levels. If they butter just straight through these levels, you're about to get paid the fuck out. But there's a chance we bounce here. Look at Berkshire. Yes, sir, ski. I needed these lows. I'm pretty sure I just got filled. I hadn't failed earlier, not gonna lie. Yeah, I just got filled. I'm risk-free on Berkshire. Well, no, not risk-free, but I took some risk off. I need a little bit more selling pressure, sell more cons, then I'll be risk-free. I sold half of my position for about more than a 50% win. And if I could get more lows, sell more of the position for over 100%, then I'll consider leaving runners. If not, I'm a book full for the win. Fuck it. What are y'all in? Who's still in Berkshire? Who's in what? Who's in gold? Gold hit TP here, by the way. Perfect tag of profits here. So this level here is where we failed to break down earlier. So be careful. This was what we wanted, right? Earlier. This is the same exact scenario playing out as earlier. Earlier, we did not get the outcome we wanted. What does that mean? We might not get the outcome we want here either. It's not to scare you out the trade, it's just to be realistic. This is what we wanted to see earlier. It did not happen. If it does happen this time, then theoretically, maybe we see something like this. Down to these lows, which would then potentially open a bigger leg lower. But this is what's at stake here. Again, they failed earlier to give us the breakdown, retesting that level. So do they bounce like they did earlier? Or are we gonna break down? That's what's on at watch here on gold. Oh, 537 target delivered here on SPY. And Apple bouncing right off that 202. Didn't really want to come lower. So again, if you're in that SPY, bro, like I said, safe thing to do is take your profits on the 0DTs here. You might go lower, but just take the money here, bro. Don't risk it. We might bounce fat as fuck from here. So your call, but I definitely call it here maybe. If you have multiple cons, get risk free. If you only have one, fuck it, bro. Or your call. If you want to squeeze out a few more dollars, assuming we breach the lows here, up to you. But you already know one green candle can wipe a big percent of those premiums away. And target 3 is lower, 532. So you might leave 500 bucks on the table if we get the breakdown. Yeah, not bad. So your call, exit here, target 2, safe target, or risk it for the biscuit to potentially maybe get target 3 about $5 lower. Now about $4, about $4, a little more than 4. But again, the safe thing to do in my opinion here is just take it up. So book what you see on the screen right now, or risk it for the biscuit and make maybe another 400 on top. Look at Berkey. Berkey about to give me a Birkin. Sheesh. Who's still in Birkin? I mean in Birkin. Who's still in Berkshire? Bro, the low of the day is a tiny bit lower, but that's not really what I'm targeting. I'm targeting the market structure shift. If we lose below previous day high, we got a maybe $15 drop. Even lower is possible, but I'm targeting the first area of support. Fire. Let's see if we can trigger here below 528.77. So again, that 537 might have been a potential area to take profit. Again, normal guy or not normal guy. So your call, gang. You want to risk it for the biscuit for a couple $100 more? Fuck it, but in the long run, you're better off taking the safe bets. And look, on these 2 green candles, I'm sure you already gave back a bit of premium. So when you're into inflection points like this and you're up a decent amount on trades, don't even think about it. Just fuck it, bro. Take the profit. Because right here, if you do want to take it off 2 minutes later, you already gave up a bit of your profits, and it's fine. I'm sure you're still relatively green on the trade, but definitely something to keep in mind. Oh, you already sold it. For so. I just saw your post. Fire, perfect. Yeah, see, bro, if you would have waited even 2 candles, can we go lower from here? Sure. But just in those 2 candles, you would have already given up a little bit of your premiums. And I told you the downside targets, bro, 532.25. So if we get the breakdown right now and they go up another 400 bucks, hey, I told you, if we break down, then you're gonna be up another 400 bucks on those. So don't be butthurt, gang. This fool gonna be like, fuck. No way they did you like that, gang. Oh, man. It is what it is, gang. You did the correct thing. You doubled your money, but I'm telling you, if we lose these lows, we're going to 532.25, and that's $400 per contract you left on the table. And Apple coming into our targets now, finally. So at this point, can Apple go lower? Sure. But we're right at the bottom range of the target. This was a conservative, safe area to take your profits, which is why I'm telling you guys, hey, be careful here. But if Apple does lose these lows, we can come down all the way to here if they really wanted to. SPY's testing the bottom range here. But for the most part, Apple targets delivered here, so oof, hard to watch. Just go walk your dog. Fuck it, fool. If you don't have a dog, go buy one. But go walk something, bro. Get off the screens. I'm just playing. Gap fill versus higher day target. I would not target higher day here. I would say gap fill first before considering buying anything. So Apple bottom range again is gonna be that 199.70ish. If we see that, then maybe different story. But buying here is really risky. Can it work? Sure, but maybe with a really tight stop on SPY here, not bad. And you're also buying into this Apple zone, right? So it's an okay buy for fast hands, but you definitely want to have a stop loss on it. You don't want to just go in naked because you'll probably end up getting hurt, assuming the trade goes against you. Not up 30 racks. See, if you're up a lot today, there's no reason to force the calls here and then shit, I give back half the profits, or fuck, now I'm red, or I'm break even, or whatever. If you up a lot, you happy with your up, just watch the action, paper trade, practice, call it a day, go do something. I don't fucking know. But that's one thing. When you start over trading, you might go from having a really good day to an okay day to a bad day, depending how much you trade, how much you risk, how it goes. So my rule of thumb is 2 to 3 trades a day. I'll take one if the trade, 1 or 2, and then if the first 2 don't go well, I'm not taking the third. If the first 2 go well, maybe I'll take the third, but the third is generally on smaller size, so you can't fuck it up. Because let's say you have 2 really good wins, but then the third one you take it in a much bigger size, and then you lose, you can give up all the profits. So that's my rule of thumb. But yeah, if you're super green and you happy, fuck it. No need to keep trading. Did you end up grabbing the gold swings? Yeah, shit. Go work out. Much rather you go get a workout, go enjoy your day, than take a fucking stupid trade right now and give up your profits, keeping it a buck. So again, this is the test on Apple here. Let's see what happens. And then gold testing the level we broke down from. So this is the test where we're gonna get one leg lower, potentially much deeper, or they try to break out. But it's similar comments across the board here. Look at UNH. Sheesh. I'm telling you, UNH and Netflix, those were both on the sell pre-market, on the sales ideas. Just the premiums, especially. Premiums are already expensive on those in general, but with earnings this week, yeah, definitely tricky trade. Regret not selling premiums maybe on Netflix into 950, but it is what it is. Not really risk I'm trying to carry overnight, especially on ER week. If they didn't have earnings, would have been a beautiful trade, not gonna lie. But at the same time, premiums are higher because of earnings, so makes it even better time to sell spreads for higher premium in my opinion, but too late for that. Look at SPY, bro. It's gonna go to 532 or 533. Sheesh. I already know, bro. Looking at the put prices right now. You see today on gold, potential, like theoretically possible or like realistically? Because if we lose this, I wouldn't be surprised to see 294, maybe even under. But technically, what, like 293.25, 293.50, which is this. If we get under that, that's where you can really get paid out on the swings. You have big selling pressure under here. For now, the tactical scalps are going to be here. One is going to be right around that 295. Can we stay under 295 and sell more? That's going to deliver that 294, maybe in 293, right? Which is this. If we lose the bottom range here, that's when the swings can really make you a lot of money, like a couple $100 plus type shit. But for now, you're still like battling it out. So this is like the battle right here. You win this battle, pretty much consider this here done. And then if you give this up here, consider that lower drop done. So it's like you got checkpoints along the way. First you got to pass this checkpoint, and the next one, the next one. But if not, if every single checkpoint isn't passed along the way, then no. For now, this is your checkpoint per se here. Break below here. And Apple's at that zone we discussed, and SPY coming lower, which is interesting because Apple hasn't really made new lows, and SPY's coming down here. I'm sure Sox S is green as fuck. Did anyone take Sox S? Look at that. Look at that setup, yo. We're here. On the day, we already up 12%, right? 13%. And this move looks tiny. And we up 12% right here. So if we get this right here, sheesh, back to the highs, that would be beautiful. Ramiro, did you end up taking calls or stock? Look at that bounce on Berkshire off those lows. Bounce Apple into that 201, 202 I discussed. So yeah, honestly, if you're short on a shorter time frame period, like 0DT, weekly, anything aggressive like that, I definitely consider taking profits here. Or at least mitigate your risk. Multiple ways to do it. Like I've said, if you don't know how to do it, you can hit me up. Trail stops break even, trim some. A lot of ways to manage risk, but the problem is when you're in a really good trade and do nothing and then it goes bad, definitely can't let that happen. You got out at 30%. Were you in weeklies or what were you in? If you had more time, I would say you got out too early. If you're in weeklies, fuck it, not bad for a scalp, I guess. But that wasn't really a scalp, that was a swing setup. That's why I told you I'll buy stock, don't take options. Or you could do both, but I prefer stock myself. Think about it, you would have made 12-13% on stock. You made 30% on a call, which is a lot riskier. I'll take the stock myself all day. And I don't think you know this, but if you hold it long enough, which you don't have to, but that's not the trade thesis, but success does pay dividends. Don't buy it here. You're literally buying it at the Pico top. I'm sure you sold it much lower. There's no way you made 30% and you sold somewhere up here. You had to have sold it a lot earlier. Yeah, buying it up here, fuck no. I'm sure you sold it much lower. So let's watch gold here. Again, these are the levels to watch. You can't really see them too well, but we're gonna get the breakdown from here to these levels, or the break back up. Your pivot or point of control is gonna be at 295. So watch gold above 295. Technically, you don't want to be short, and as long as we remain below, the sales can continue to pay here. That's cool. I'm sure you would have gotten paid out more on success than whatever you're up on gold though. So just be mindful. Your trade management is important when you get in, when you get out and all that. So, you know, why do you trim some trades, not others? Not like I asking you, just, you know, for yourself. I don't know if you have a strategy or a system. Depends on the risks, depends on the time frame. Like, I don't know how you do it, but just wondering why you did trim some profits on like success, for example, but you haven't taken profits on other names. So again, not that like I'm pressing you, just curious. Do you take profits across the board evenly, only on some names? If you like some setups more than others, you let those run longer. How do you manage your trades? And the answer, in my opinion, generally, you want to manage everything the same way. So don't know what you do, but just rule of thumb, you want to apply the same exact rules to every single trade because you don't know the outcome. Out of 4 contracts for Burke, I only have 1 left. All right, that's cool. You got out green on all. I'm assuming you added at the highs, so maybe you took what, 2 at the lows and then 2 at the highs. If that's what you did, that's solid. If you added 3 at the lows and 1 at the highs or something, not the best, but it's still okay. Yeah, if that's what you did, all right, not bad. Fuck it. If you got out green on all, that's not bad. Oh, So TLT is the dollar trade. I don't know if you've been watching the comments on the dollar I've been making all day, which finally we're getting the move up on dollar and the move down on GJ. Remember I said, hey, GJ has to stay below this level and sell below? We got that. We need to see the breakout on dollar. We're seeing, and now we can potentially see this next leg higher, right? That's where we currently are. For TLT to go up, you need USD CAD to go up. So is it valid? I think so. I really like this level. So this is where we are. If we bounce off of these lows, look at all the upside we have. Real nice. So this is like going long stock S, for example, assuming things work out smoothly in the markets. So not a terrible idea. We're still up on the day, about $1, no, about $2 from Friday. So if you didn't get in Friday and you want to add here, or you just want to add here in general, it's not terrible, but you need the market to come down. So for TLT to go up, you need everything to crash. Not everything, but you know, stocks, indexes, etc. So if you're okay with shorts, meaning shorting the market at these levels, and you like it, then yeah, go for the TLT calls. If you yourself are looking at the levels and you're like, oh shit, no, I think we're gonna bounce here, I don't think we'll drop more from these levels, I'd rather buy SPY calls, then it wouldn't really make sense for you to buy TLT calls, because you're kind of trading against yourself, if that makes sense. Let me know if you understand. But do I like the levels in the trade here? Yeah, it's still okay. Just make sure you understand what you're buying and why you're buying it. And like I said earlier, we needed to see USD CAD up, which is finally happening. GJ down, and we have much lower targets on GJ, much higher targets on USD CAD. So if I had to guess, I don't think the market's done selling, but who knows? Let's see. We're trying to pick up on. Yeah, so I'm a forex trader, primarily USD CAD. All you're doing is looking at the dollar. So GBP, JPY, all you're doing is looking at the yen. USD CAD, all you're doing is looking at the dollar. So what I want to see is dollar strength versus yen weakness versus dollar strength. That's all I care about. They can lie to you about what they're doing in the news. They can say, hey, we're buying, we're doing this, we're doing that, blah, blah, blah. What they can't lie to you or hide is the cash flow. Anytime the hedge funds, the institutions, whatever, big banks are making big moves, you're going to see it in the currencies. You can't hide it because you're literally making those transactions in real time. So as you're getting outflows out of, you know, certain assets, you're going to see it in the currencies, which is why yen fell way before, sorry, not yen fell. Yen went up. Let me show you. The move on pound yen happened way before anything in stocks did. Let's go back. So these are your highs since last year, October. I'm not gonna go that far back. I'm gonna just focus here. In March, you had this massive move lower. But this topped since last year, and it's been moving lower. We're doing this here. So, come on, bro. You're doing this for this potential move lower to the downside. And this is leading. But yeah, pretty much is dollar versus yen. So TLT is going long USD CAD per se. And again, if you like the levels yourself to go along here, which are valid, Apple into support zone, SPY into support zone, it's not a terrible idea to go along these names, which is why I'm telling you, hey, maybe TLT might not be the great idea. For TLT to work, you literally need these names to continue falling here, which might not happen. So just keep that in mind. If you're okay with starting shorts here via TLT longs, assuming the markets are going to continue falling a couple of next weeks and you want to go long to May, that's cool. But again, if that's not something that aligns with your current market views, I don't see why you would buy that. And again, my goal isn't for you guys to think exactly like me. I try to share my views, opinions, teach you how I like to execute, manage trades. But like I said, if at any point I'm saying, hey, I want to go be short and you guys want to be long, I don't want that to discourage you guys from taking your own trades, your own bias, your own setups. You know, I'd much respect someone that tells me, hey, you know, like I really don't see that. I'd rather take this trade. That's fine. You know, it's the best man win. There's nothing wrong with that. If everyone shares levels, it's gonna make everyone's you know, perspective, current views on the market better. Because I might be bearish, someone might be bullish, and until I don't see their charts, I might be like, oh shit, you're right. I didn't see that level you're talking about, or whatever the case may be. So up to you if you want to take it, but like I said, if it doesn't align with your current market views, then no. And also your port management. I don't know what else you have. Yeah, so Berkshire was definitely a little bumpy on that first pop. But like I said, if you added on that pop, it was a blessing at those prices, and you're definitely getting paid out here. Look at UNH. UNH is still slipping, which makes me think SPY might put a new low and Apple might put a new low. Like I said, bottom range on Apple is actually lower. I was just using these levels as conservative targets because, like I said, you don't ever want to overstay your welcome in a trade and go from green to red. But if they do deliver the bottom range, which is previous day high, SPY would probably be at that 532.25 or 532.50 target we discussed. I'm gonna probably kick it here, maybe like another 30 minutes, see if we get the next leg lower on the breakdown here, and then if not, I'm gonna probably just end the stream here, y'all. Go call it a day, go work out myself too, see what I do. But you should be paid here, hopefully. So pretty good day so far, and if you took profits, you know, fuck it, call it a day. So that's what I plan on doing here, maybe within the next 30 minutes if we fail to deliver the next leg lower. But I did already manage across the board, so regardless of the outcome, breakout or breakdown, I'll be fine. Obviously I would benefit and hope for a breakdown. So I hope everyone heard those comments and has done the same. William, I know you already managed Berkshire, so great. So same thing to you. If we get a breakdown, cool, we'll get paid a little more. If not, consider managing the last positions you had. Looks like we might get that leg lower. Little pop here on TLT. Lows here on Berkshire. I'm pretty sure I just got filled on some more. Just because I'm trying to call it here. I'm gonna probably end stream soon, like I said, and I still have a bit of size on, so I was like, fuck it. One new low, I'll take off a little bit more size. Just something I'm more comfortable holding intraday. I do want to hold them a bit longer and, you know, just trailing stops, putting stops, break even, whatever. But regardless, I just took a few more off just in case. Let me double check I got filled. I think I did. No, I did not. Wow. Alright, so my order's still working. Hopefully I can get a small drop lower. Because I thought I got filled. I did not. I always be putting my orders at the ask, if not above. So yeah, I haven't gotten filled. But not a bad idea. If you want to hold on, that's fine. Just like I said, I have multiple contracts. I already sold some, but I'm just going to say fuck it. Let's have a little more here. But they better fill me. One new low, come on. I'm still not out. I might just replace it if they don't give me a new low here. I'm not about to miss my fills by a few cents. Alright, I should be out. No way, bruh. Alright, fuck it, I'm gonna just replace. Alright, finally. Fuck. Hold on, I'm gonna take a call real quick, someone's calling me. Yo, my bad, y'all. I'm still on the phone, but you see TP just got hit here on SPY. So if you win that, good shit. But just watch the levels. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Y'all, my bad. Just told you I was on the phone. Oh shit, bouncing right off that target. So like I said, fuck it. I got some more fills off on Berkshire. Everything I have is managed. I'm gonna probably call it here. TP2 on SPY got smashed. So if you were in that, great, congrats. Like I said, I'm gonna call it here. If y'all got questions about anything, let me know right now before I hop off. But yeah, pretty good day if you caught that. SPY. What time did he send that? Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that was a target we wanted to see on SPY. Got TP, and then bottom of the range we want to see on Apple bouncing too. So like I said, great area there to take profits if you did. At this point, I'd refrain from being short, and if you are short, make sure everything's managed on your risk. So Berkshire 735 fire. I'm pretty sure you got filled on that, William. Right? I'm sure you got filled. My orders were right below that, 720. Yeah, T3 on SPY. So beautiful. You got filled on Berkshire, right? I'm pretty sure. Don't know what time you placed that order, but assuming on the way down you got filled. Oh, you for sure got filled. We're above that right now. All right, so fuck it. GG's. Hopefully y'all made money. Look at that bounce. Good shit. Perfect targets here. Literally, look at that. The target I gave y'all right to the penny, more or less. So fuck it. Good day. I'm gonna probably call it a day here. I'll update the room if anything crazy happens, but probably not. I'll do a recap later. Be back tomorrow morning early. But fuck it. Hopefully y'all made some money. Y'all straight, right? I don't see no questions in the chat, so y'all straight. If you need some, just add me in the chat. But yeah, like I said, probably gonna call it here. You think we SPY? What are you trying to say? Close below, or we go back to target 3, or you said, do you think we SPY target 3? So are you trying to say, do you think we close below that target? Do I think we go back to it? Hit 32 again? This isn't target 3. So earlier, these are new harmonics. The original harmonics that I drew out earlier, this was target 1, this was target 2, this was target 3, this was target 4. So these are slightly skewed. Can we hit it? I would not bet on it, at least not today. Can it happen? Sure. But is it something I would bet on with my money right now? Like to take a 532 0 DTE or something? Yo, definitely not. So like I said, I'm telling you guys to de-risk on your puts and take the profits right here on the way down. And you're asking me if you should take the puts or if would I take them? No, I'm telling you guys to take off the risk. Can it go there? Sure. Just you gotta know when to be risk on, when to be risk off, and those trades already paid in my opinion. So I don't see why I take them again. Look at where we're coming from, just for perspective. We're coming from up here. And you want to short after we just had all this and we caught majority of all this. And I told you guys this is the target to get out. Target 1, target 2, and now reshort. If you want to bet on this happening, right, and this being resistance, maybe. But if you do get the breakout back above that level, definitely do not want to be short, because you have this entire range to the left side that we just did. Yeah, if you're doing weekly or whatever, it's not terrible, but like I said, you're shorting at the bottom of the range for this small potential target when you have this entire potential upside. I don't think the risk to reward is worth it here, in my opinion. Can it happen? Sure. Just not something I'm interested in, to be honest with you. And then AVGO looks like it may or may not push lower here, but we did get our targets delivered. This actually looks interesting here, because if these levels do hold up across the board, we can see some nice selling pressure. Sorry, not selling pressure, some nice upside pressure. Assuming semis rally off these lows, Apple bounces off these lows, indexes, etc. Not taking the longs myself, but the setups do look interesting, not gonna lie to you guys. Alright, I'll catch y'all. Hit me up in the Discord if y'all need some.